I don't know if there's any really formal introduction that we have to do for the second half of season 2 here. Um,
Yeah.
I,
Well, it's we've got enough parts now. This is
yeah, yeah.
the final one though. Final stretch.
This is the sixth video, and this will be the last of it for this series. There's
Yeah.
it's like the Batman New Adventures. What is it? New Batman Adventures?
I keep getting it wrong. I keep getting it wrong. I've made repeated promises that after this we'll probably be reviewing an obscure 1970s Adam West animated show featuring Batmite because I keep mangling the name. It's the I'm gonna Yeah, so I kept saying the new Adventures of Batman. What I meant was the new Batman Adventures. But can you blame
No,
me?
no, that
Even when
is
I know it, I've still got to like search it up. I'm like, my Batman's Adventures of. It's like the movie situations, like The Dark Knight Returns, The Dark Knight Rises. It's like, ugh.
I think at one point I asked you a question about the Batman. It's like, what a great name. Thanks.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Then the next movie, the next Matt Reeves movie is just going to be the new Batman,
the
the new
Adventures
Dark
of
Knight
Batman.
Adventures Returns.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah.
So
So
we just got done watching the old Batman Adventures.
right, yes. But yeah, we're gonna do this and then probably take a break from Batman for just a little bit, and then
So we don't go mad.
we don't get put in Arkham Asylum for how much
Yeah.
Batman we've been experiencing.
I am Batman.
But yeah, we saw the last of half of season 2, just 10 episodes, and I guess we can get a summation at the end of it. We'll just get right into talking about the episodes themselves. Starting with season 2, episode 11, Baby Doll, which is a hell of an episode to start out on.
Yeah.
This is an episode about an actress who is also, she has the Benjamin Button disease. She does not age.
Mm.
So
Yeah. So
wasn't
she's like 30, I believe, but
yes,
she looks like a 5-year-old.
yeah, and she sees of course she gets a job as a kid on a sitcom,
Hmm.
and that goes pretty well for her. She's pretty well known for that, and then she gets sick of it essentially. Like, what
Hmm.
was it? Just like they introduce a new kid for
Yeah, like they went all like Urkel on them, you know.
yeah, and she gets really jealous, and then she gets sick of being on that show and decides like, hey, I want to
Mm.
do I want to do something else. So she tries Macbeth, which
Yes, naturally. Which I
and
feel like
it's
she could make a career, but yeah, I guess she doesn't want to be a kid. It's
yeah,
interesting. It's a good scene. Notice the producers be like kind of flexing literary and Shakespeare whenever they get a chance.
yeah,
But it's quite funny though. It is quite a funny little bit. She's
but
like playing Lady Macbeth.
yeah, just out damn spot, and it's just like it's very strange. So
Although the character's quite savvy to it, they're like, yeah, I can see why that didn't work.
yeah, everyone's like, that's especially Robin. Robin's running gag is he just hates everything she's in. Just like, this is awful.
Yeah.
He makes some like
Probably Bruce is probably thinking that, but he's like the one who says it. They're watching like the old sitcom, and he's like, whoa, what a stinker.
yeah. I forget. He said something about like, remember one of the worst things we've ever had to go through? Watching this show is worse than that. It was just like, dude, okay.
Wow.
He's
It's
got
like,
some sick burns.
it's like us doing a Baby Mad episode.
You remember the terrible trio? This is worse than that. So, she, yeah, it doesn't turn out well, the whole, like, trying to go serious and trying to be a serious actor thing. So, she, I guess, just snaps or something. I'm kind of explaining the overall plot rather than like a step by step, because what
It's
it really
fine. Yeah, we don't have to lay it out as the
no,
character discovers it. I
but
mean,
like
that's what's happening.
but what's happening in the actual episode is really just like that's kind of being explained while she's in the process of kidnapping the former stars of the first show that she was in, the first big
Hmm.
show. And like so it's explaining why she's doing that while she's doing it, but you don't get a lot of insight into her.
No,
Like
that's probably the biggest lacking thing here.
yeah, it's this episode is an interesting concept that is executed kind of weakly. Because so what she's doing,
Yeah, it's not too bad, but it's not quite. It doesn't quite earn that ending that we'll get to.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it feels like it feels like the I feel like the writers feel like, oh, we've earned this ending. But no, not really, but we'll get to that. It's about her plight, and we just we don't see her enough of her to really get a full sense of that. This isn't like, Two-Face Part 1 and 2. It feels like this probably should have been a two-parter, maybe.
yeah,
But
yeah.
because we see that she gets typecast, but there's nothing that happens to her that's like particularly tragic, other than I guess having to live with this would kind of suck. But we don't see her getting like bullied or anything like that. We don't see her despair. She just, from what we see as the audience, it's just like, oh, she couldn't get like the work she wanted, And I think it'd be quite easy to show a plight, like, that would be a crappy existence to have that disease. But they don't really show it in this episode. I don't think.
There's
Not
a
enough.
there's a small bit where she breaks character because the entire time she's acting as her character from that show, but
Hmm.
there's one small bit where like so what's she's doing? She's kidnapping all the former members, and she's essentially trying to um just recreate it.
Force them to,
But
yeah, like just live like the show.
yeah,
She takes them to the set.
and she's like, oh no, you're not such and such. You're daddy. You're my pop, and and like just doing all that kind of stuff. And then, but she also wants to get revenge against the kid who was introduced into the show, who is now an adult or like a older teenager. Like he's
Yeah,
definitely
like 20s
grown.
or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, he kind of looks like washed up young adult, but
Yeah. Well, that's kind of a Killer Croc situation.
well, yeah. But yeah, and then whenever they're like, why are you doing this once they're all in the same place and try to figure out what's going on, she does break character and eventually explain very briefly like that she can't get other work because of her condition. And
Mm.
I feel kind of silly saying this, but I think it is kind of inevitable that I have to compare this to Grey Ghost because
No, that's fine.
it is hitting a lot of the same notes, but executing it in a much weirder way. Like, it's just very strange that in this series, and I think you kept saying like we kept comparing this to On Leather Wings, where it's like we've come so far from that episode, where
Mhm.
and in this episode it's largely focused around this Tiny Toons character who
Yeah.
is evil and wants to kill a guy for, being hired into this show when he was a kid. It's very, very strange. Like, it doesn't you don't sympathize with her at all, especially because she's the villain. But
Yeah.
it just doesn't work. And so yeah, she kidnaps part of it is they realize that she wants to get revenge against this kid. They show the kid like he's in his garage, or this dude, he's in his garage and he's like playing guitar, and then the kid and her like sidekick. It's like a secretary character, much like Candace.
That's one of the that was one of the most interesting parts of this episode. This mysterious secretary character who wears these Clock King ST shade glasses, and she knows martial arts. Never explained.
She has one line in the entire show, which is just like, I think Batman or Robin.
It's a living or something.
Yeah, it's like, why are you like how? What are you doing this for? She's like, yeah, it's a living. It's like,
Okay, because she kind of reminds me of what's the Lex Luthor's right hand lady?
I don't know.
Mercy,
Oh,
Mercy Graves. Like
yeah.
she was like a secretary, but she was also his bodyguard. So she's like dressed for like office work, and then she would just start doing like flying kicks and stuff. Kind of reminds me of her.
Yeah, yeah. But there's to point out some of the notes. There's a bit where she has all the characters tied up, or all the actors tied up, and then there's including the guy who she wants to kill essentially. So she does the dynamite in the cake thing because
Oh, Gav from be it. I guess she wants to be a clown.
yes, because that's like a running thing. Is like the one scene where like the kid in the show smashes her face into a birthday cake, and so she's obsessed with getting revenge exactly.
I didn't know
in
where
that
you're going
way.
to smashes her face in. I was like, wow, I missed that bit of the episode. I would sympathise with her then. What the hell?
Slams her face into a cake, and then she's like, "All right, so I'm gonna make a birthday cake, and then here's a piece of dynamite as the candle, and it's gonna blow your face off." And the guy like grabs it with his teeth after trying to like blow the fuse out, and then chucks it across the room. And I made a quip about, oh man, he's already more capable than Robin. And then, sure enough, like less than a minute later, he unzips his bodysuit, and it's actually Robin in disguise. It's like,
Yeah, shut up, SK, you idiot.
I do like, because of that plan, he had to get himself kidnapped. Because of course Robin had to get kidnapped. It's
Oh, man, I know how to do this job. This is a job for Robin the Boy Wonder.
I'm good at this. So yeah, there's a big confrontation. Robin fights another secretary. Of course he does. And then Batman ends up chasing the girl her name is Mary Dahl. Of course it is. So
Kind of makes me think of Roald Dahl.
yeah, that's what I'm always
That
thinking
name.
of. Yeah. But so Mary Dahl, he chases Mary. They have she has this like little doll that is also a gun, which is a very strange visual. Like its eye is missing, and it's actually a barrel.
It's certainly a good weapon, I guess.
Yeah.
Suits her, I don't know.
I don't. Yeah, she's very dedicated to living as a child. Which I think that's kind of why some of this doesn't make sense to me, is she wants to break away from this, but she can't, so
She's embracing it?
yeah, she can't figure out whether or not she wants it or hates it.
I guess she just kind of snapped, and she's just like, I can't really, I don't know, like, I can't escape this, so I'm just, like, mentally, I'm just gonna embrace it. I guess.
I guess. It feels like it's a very confused idea. Like, they have a concept, but they didn't quite glue it together correctly. Batman chases her to a carnival. There's some shenanigans there, and it ends with her in a hall of mirrors. And it's like, you know, a bunch of mirrors that also distort the vision, and she sees one that makes her look like a normal adult. And that she has this very emotional bit where she keeps like shooting the mirrors and having to confront the idea that like she can't have this life, and eventually shoots the one that depicts her as a normal adult, and just essentially has a breakdown, and then just basically quits.
Yeah, she just breaks into tears.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm describing it well enough, but it is a very well made scene, and I understand that that's probably one of the ideas they had first, because it's executed very well, but the rest of the episode does not live up to the idea that it wants to portray. And it really, I don't know, it really came down to thank you. It really just comes down to like this I just
How
this
much
I didn't
is
like.
is this suspension of disbelief, like how much do you buy into this, and how much are you willing to go along with it? I think that's the ultimate issue.
Yeah. And for me, this was too weird. Like, it's actually good we have a screenshot of her now, because you could see that she doesn't look like a Batman the Animated Series character.
I literally just looked it up. She is a Paul Dini animated series original. She is not from the comics.
Yeah, that makes sense.
She has since appeared in comics, but yeah, original the Harley Quinn character.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm very conflicted about that one.
Yeah, so am I.
I want to like it, and I kind of just don't. And it feels like if I rate it at all, like, highly, it'll be entirely because the premise is interesting and I appreciate the uniqueness of attempting something like that. But
yeah, I'm there with you.
It didn't work for me. It was... So I said...
She's also, like, just not a physical threat, and she, like, fires tennis balls at Batman, and you're like, come on.
Right, yeah.
I mean, I guess there's a point. I mean, it does end with her having a... That being said, I really should get a picture of I would like a few more pictures. Just want a one shot of the ending, at least, if we can't just have clips of the actual show, but... Like, it's pretty artsy. It's a good ending. Yeah. It just depends how much you think it's actually earned. You know, like, at least Feet of Clay, which is, you know, it's probably the best comparison for having a good, strong ending, especially like a psychological one where the villain kind of defeats themselves. He doesn't just beat them into submission, especially not her. You know, Feet of Clay had 2 parts, and it was a lot more earned than this. We don't know this character well enough to really have this ending. It's still neat, but yeah, the rest of the episode just isn't quite there. It's like it's walking a fine line between being silly, but also, yeah, it feels like a silly episode up until that point.
Yeah,
and then it gets all melodramatic on you, and I don't know if it's earned. I get the feeling this is going to be in like so many top 10 episode lists, but watching it back,
She's not a sympathetic character because it spends the entire episode making her out to be a joke. Like, it's funny that she's acting this way up until the very end, where suddenly it's like, oh, actually, this is really painful for her. It's like,
that's what it is. That's what's bothering me. It's like the two halves. We get 2 different types of Batman episodes. We've got like the sort of melodramatic ones, and then especially in season 2, we're getting a lot of just straight up comedy episodes. Mostly, like the two Harley Quinn ones are very much comedic episodes, and then you got this one that's like half of it is kind of comedic. I mean, I really can't take it seriously. I don't know how much they're really playing it for laughs, but I mean, she has a canned laughter machine. She has like a tape recorder in her hand, which she uses for background noise, which is fitting for the character. But I don't know if that's... I mean, I find it funny, but is it supposed to be like haha funny, or
it doesn't feel like
kind of sad?
It's not.
It's portrayed. 2 halves though. The 2 halves they just don't mesh. These 2 halves.
It feels like if they had portrayed it with a little more intensity, like it was more intense that she was acting this way and not just kind of silly, that they could have made this work.
They could have made her scary somehow.
Yeah. Like, just
like make her more adult. Like, because you like someone who looks like a child but is actually an adult, that can be very creepy. Like, you can make that creepy, but she's just kind of played for laughs, and she's just leaning into this TV show character. So, like, having whenever she speaks with her adult voice, that's very jarring, and I kind of wish they did a bit more with that. Like, she doesn't do it much, but when you see this like grown woman's voice come out of a little girl, like that's cool. Like, that's pretty jarring and creepy. They could have done a bit more. And I also feel like this is kind of I'm gonna coin a phrase here, like YouTube clickbait. Not that the show was made around that,
right.
But like, I feel like if you just watch that ending on YouTube, which I have done, in isolation, it's like, oh wow, this show is amazing. This is definitely one of the best episodes. But then you watch the rest of it, and you're like, it's not. It doesn't lead up. It is a good scene, but it's not really that earned.
That's why I said, like, it feels like that was the one thing that they had one of the first ideas they had, because it feels like the rest of the episode is to try to lead up to this really cool moment, but they didn't have a good execution of how to do that. They just they had this concept, but the way they show it doesn't make any sense. And I'm not gonna lie, I have to give a shout out to the very last line, where it's like a callback, but it didn't feel like poignant, it just felt fucking silly. Where
I can't even remember it.
she says, "I didn't mean to," whenever.
Oh, okay,
yeah. Yeah, like that's like the cutesy "did I do that" sort of phrase of the show, but that's like also what she says whenever she breaks down, and that's like the last line, I believe. And it's like,
right.
But she says it like very seriously, and it's like, that's too silly. Like, I get what you want to do with it,
it's
but
too earnest. I don't know. Yeah.
That's all I got. It's weird. I want to like it, but I kind of don't.
Right, so this is the heart is kind of racing.
It is, yeah.
I kind of want to put it in low B just for the attempt.
Yeah, looking at C.
It's definitely more memorable. I'm looking at C, and a lot of these are just kind of like we've established. C is not bad, but a lot of these are just kind of forgettable. This one's at least I'm going to remember this one.
Yeah.
No, you shouldn't get it past just for that, but I think that would just squeeze it into B. Like, it's kind of like if we put it next to Bane there, like, Bane is also conceptually good, but then it's just a bit. Bane also had a disconnect between like the main story and then the very ending.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so I'm gonna push it at the very end of B.
Yeah. C is very definitively just forgettable episodes. Like,
again, not bad. Like we said before, like, I'd still recommend those episodes. Like, not recommend, but like I'd say, like, you'd be fine watching anything from C. And personal preference might have it a bit higher. It's only like D and below I'd avoid. But yeah, I think B's it's just maybe a little too interesting for C, even if it's definitely flawed.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's perfect.
Okay.
All right, so The Lion and the Unicorn. This is the Alfred episode.
Yes.
This is.
I mean, as much as he gets as one, he doesn't. Yeah, he finally gets his time in the spotlight, but he doesn't do too much that's competent. So it sounds like he's like actually he's like a former government agent. Before he moved to America, and he gets called back because there's some sort of plot going on involving one of his fellow agents, and so he very abruptly goes back to London to Bruce and Dick's surprise, and turns out it's a plot involving our favorite Talia. Oh no, sorry, it's just Red Claw. Damn. I kind of forgot about Red Claw. And rightfully so, but she's planning on taking a missile silo that is hidden in a castle in Scotland, and she's going to fire a missile at London. And then obviously Batman stops her, not Alfred. Alfred doesn't do that much.
Alfred's like a former member or something contacts him and is like, "Hey, old bean. Old man."
Old bean.
Yeah. Hey, what? I need you to come over here down to jolly old London and help me out with the
fish chips, cup of tea, Mary fucking Poppins, London.
There's only one London. I mean,
yeah.
You know exactly where it is.
Fair, yeah. We would definitely say that, even if it's wrong.
Right. I get that. Yeah, he goes there, he kind of fights off some goons, and then immediately gets kidnapped. Red Claw has them tied up, Alfred and his buddy. they eventually get the codes for the missile tortured out of them. Like Alfred actually does give it up by hinting at it, like he's in a delirious state, and he says something that gives away what it is. And
it's the titular line in the unicorn refers to the crest of the United Kingdom, which combines the English lion and the Scottish unicorn, which is just makes it a good Batman title, I guess.
Yeah. And so Batman flies over.
That's the code. Yeah, that's the code.
Batman
is that expression.
Batman has flown to England with
the Batwing. Yeah, the Batwing can do long haul flights. I thought it was like sort of a combat vehicle, but apparently it can do like continental flights. I guess.
Right.
Sure. The cartoon, who cares?
Yeah. So, this one is definitely foggy in my memory, much like London is foggy with film grain.
Streets of London.
Yes. There are some.
Yeah, so it's not just foggy. Whenever there's fog on screen, there is a thick layer of film grain that kind of. This is going to come up again in another episode. It kind of HDifies the episode. This is going to come up in the Riddler's Reform episode as well, but I think it might have something to do with it, because this is made for early 90s TV, but it's here in HD, and it looks pretty good. And I'm wondering if they use some sort of like upscaling technique. But there's something about this fog effect and the rain effect we're going to see in the other episode that just doesn't like it, so they just didn't use it. Whenever they're outside, it looks like lower resolution. It looks like, this is a really specific reference, I really don't think you'll get it, but TV shows in the 70s, whenever they'll like film on a set and it looks pretty good, and as soon as they go outside, they have to use like a different film stock. So whenever they go outside, it looks completely different. The best example is like Faulty Towers. So if anyone gets that, they'll probably immediately know exactly what I mean. It'll sound like nonsense to anyone else, but if anyone's watching this, it's the kind of reminds me of Faulty Towers. Yeah, the show just looks different whenever they go outside.
It looks like it goes from looking incredibly nice in HD to looking like you're watching a VHS rip on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, it suddenly becomes, and it's not like I don't hate them for it, but it is striking. It is incredibly noticeable, and it was just kind of bizarre. It just adds to the weirdness of the show.
It reminds me of like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Whenever they go to Mexico, there's just a thick, like a yellow tint over Mexico, and in here it's whenever you go to London, there's just film grain everywhere.
Yes. Yeah. And, so, I don't know, it's a lot of whatever. Batman fights some goons. A lot of...
Alright, so I promise not to make the whole review about this, because nobody wants to hear this, but just very quickly acknowledge, oh boy, this depiction of London.
No.
Boy, crikey, who's this Batman then, eh? The chimney sweep, Mary Poppins. It's oh my god.
Stone the Crows.
Oh man. Someone actually says Stone the Crows. I'm like, what the... So like, we've established Gotham is sort of 1930s-esque, and I've put this is 1830s-esque. It's like, what the hell? I'm not going to go on about it too much. But
I think
it's kind of hard to watch.
That adds to, honestly, the shittiness of this episode. This is not a good episode. Like, it's not terrible, but it is prime C material right here. It is fucking pointless.
Yeah.
Just completely forgettable nonsense.
Nobody likes Red Claw.
No, she is such a nothing character. Just, she wants to blow up a building, and she does.
Yeah. No, I was going to quickly say one more. I'm trying not to do these too much. One more Star Trek connection. That's Captain Janeway as Red Claw.
Oh,
since
right. Right.
Yeah, she's going to throw a missile into Trafalgar Square. And Batman stops it, but it doesn't look like it would have done that much damage. I don't know.
Yeah, so
It's a pretty small explosion.
she fires the missile around the time that Batman rescues Alfred and his friend. Um, Alfred breaks a chair over someone's head. That's about it. Uh,
Yeah, he blindsides a freckled girl who wasn't looking. What a fucking hero.
yeah. No, it's a real shame that they came up with an idea for Alfred to be more involved, and they still made him kind of a loser. It really sucks.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Batman.
We're told he was a badass, but
Right, yeah. They make it sound like he's great, like he's supposed to be, but you don't see that. He doesn't do anything good. He like trips a guy up with his umbrella or something. It's fucking whatever. The missile gets launched. Batman jumps in the Batwing and flies after it. He ends up shooting it, which causes it to. I think it explodes next to Big Ben because of course it does. I don't know where that's relative to where it was going, but either way.
Central London's not. It's condensed, but it's not that big. It's fine. I can excuse that.
But while that's happening, Red Claw was apparently hiding away in the Batwing because she jumps out of nowhere and starts like wrestling with them. She gets ejected, and then in the process, she tears off his mask, which I want to throw out there because it has nothing to do with anything. It's not like it matters at all. She didn't see him. It didn't.
She was sitting behind. Yeah, so she's sitting behind him in the co-pilot's chair. She pulls his mask off, and then he ejects her out. So I don't know what the point of that is. Maybe just to instill the fear in the audience, like, oh no, she's going to see his face, and then he managed to do that so she doesn't. But she's sitting behind him, so I don't know. And it's already like high stakes because she's going to like kill him or prevent the missile from being intercepted. Strange moment.
Yeah. She gets ejected, the bomb goes off, and then it just kind of ends. And it's like, okay, why was that? Why?
It was a really abrupt ending, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. No, I feel like there's a lot of that in this season. But no, that was that episode. That was just dumb. Just boring.
It wasn't good.
There was nothing.
It doesn't. It's
good.
like normally like getting Batman out of Gotham is usually a positive, but this depiction of London was so off to me that I think it was actually a negative.
Yeah.
It was just you don't really see much. He doesn't really do much with the setting. I mean, it's so fucking foggy. You can't even see anything.
Yeah,
like, you know, because he's like Batman's gothic, and it's like, well, you know, there's a lot of gothic kind of buildings and stuff in London. Like, I'm not saying they're gonna like use it as a tourism thing for London, but you know, but you can't see anything. It's just fog. Whenever they go outside, it's just fog, and you just about make out like the Trafalgar Square lions and Big Ben. Obviously, you got to have Big Ben, and yeah, and then there's also like the Scottish castle, and that's just kind of a nothing location as well. It's just a castle with a missile silo in it. I don't know. That's based on anything. It's totally interesting. Kind of made me think of like the second level of Time Splitters Future Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, just nah.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
This is to me a what is reality situation. What is stopping this from entering D? Because we wrote low C, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, what is actually okay about this episode?
I'm sorry, I really like we're just going into the rating. There's absolutely no mention of Al Pacino. A woman's ass.
A Wolmar's ass? That was...
We're gonna go out the apples and pears. Core blimey. I'm not going to explain that. There's a shot with I'm sorry, we were watching this, just like, wow, Red Claw has a huge ass.
There's just a shot that's just directly, like, half the screen is just her ass. It's just really just out of nowhere. Like, okay.
A Wolmar's ass.
Yeah, Wolmar's ass. Yeah, we haven't actually acknowledged most of the notes. I just want to give...
I think that one of the railings kind of speaks to itself.
Yeah, that one, like, honestly, it was hard for me to notice at first, but if you gotta look at it and notice that the railing in the back is in front of the railing in the front, and,
what it looks like is they did the railings in cell animation because he's holding them, but you can't, but they didn't, like, think about the background plates.
Yeah, that's it. That's definitely what's going on there. And
They should have just like not drawn that bit so the background could show through. Whoops.
Yeah, oops. Oh well. And then I remember shoot the gas, like the fucking like gas grenade goes off, which I don't remember if it was one of the knockout ones or just the obscuring vision ones, but somebody pulls out a pistol and just starts firing, and it's like, that ain't gonna work, buddy. So.
Anyway, yeah, you were saying about D. It probably is a D then, I guess.
Yeah, because it's not an F just because it's not a baby mad because I don't hate it that much, but I can't justify it being in C because
there's
nothing
dialogues definitely. Like I'm trying not to like dwell on it. It is hearing Stone the Crows is just like it made me cringe. I'm not gonna lie.
No, yeah, that is worth discussion because it is actually bad dialogue. It's just not dialogue that us Americans would understand how stupid it is. But
I mean, I'm trying to give them the benefit of a doubt because like they do the. I don't know. There's like plenty of American characters who kind of use like 30s kind of talk and stuff.
Right.
But I don't know. It's very Mary Poppins. It's very Dick Van Dyke. I don't know.
It felt very much like how do we make this sound as English as possible? Like what?
Oh, I want to acknowledge as well, though, because I don't want to like sound negative. Like, do this, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to sound like that because it's annoying. Because if it's done well, so if when it's done well, you don't even notice it. When it's done well, when Alfred speaks, like his voice acting is great. Like I just forget he's not English. He does a great job. His dialogue's fine. So credit where credit's due. Like Alfred is always depicted well, and his voice actor who's American does a great job. So I don't want to sound just negative and moaning. And God knows, there's been plenty of examples of ropey American accents in English media. So.
But it is yeah. Like they have a character that proves that they know how to do this. But when it came to writing for this episode,
just write a person.
Yeah.
Just write a person, and cast Adam Ant from the 80s band that I vaguely know.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Well, maybe we should get more British actors in it, but apparently they were all busy recording lines for Showdown, the Old West episode.
Season 2, episode 13, Showdown. This is this is one of those we didn't write as many notes for this one just because
we were kind of enjoying it.
Yeah. So Batman or some Spider-Man looking dudes invade it's like an old person home. It's just like they're just like breaking in. They steal a person in a wheelchair, but you don't see his face. Like they
steal.
I mean, yeah, they.
I know.
Yeah,
sorry.
They leave with him. It's not against his will.
Steal. It's our new enemy, the old man snatcher.
They get him out of there.
It's another. They're doing the forgotten, but now it's just old people. I'm sorry. I can't remember the synopsis.
So yeah, they sneak him out of there, or they don't sneak him because they get caught pretty easily. But very very quickly, it's like Raish broke in, nabbed this guy. They leave. Batman's in pursuit. They found a tape that had a recording from Raish, and they put it in, and the Batmobile's radio or something, and play it back, and it's Raish like, hey, like, I know what you're thinking, but I want you to hear me out on this, and it goes into a flashback, which is pretty much the entirety of the episode, and it is an Old West tale about Jonah Hex, who is the
I'm gonna get a picture of him because we're going to be talking about him a bit.
Yeah, he is the Old West Batman, which is
like an old like a DC character should be said. Like he's a long running comic character.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with him, because this is I think how I'm familiar with him is I've seen this episode a long time ago, and I don't know, he's cool. I say he's like Batman because he's not super powered in any way. He has this face deformity, but beyond that, he's just a guy. Like he's just a bounty hunter, or just he just kind of does what he wants, really. So he ends up at a saloon. There's a lady there who's like, or no, I think he's asking about somebody, and this lady there is like, oh no, I'll gladly give some information on this guy because he hurt some of my girls or something like that, and gives away the position of this wanted man. And there's like a confrontation with the sheriff. He's like, well, it says dead or alive, so try bringing him in alive sometime.
That's a good line, yeah.
Yeah. And Jonah is he's very sarcastic, but it's not.
I'm just thinking. Yeah, I'm not overly familiar with Jonah Hex. Most of my familiarity comes with him. He's in an episode of Justice League where he actually meets Batman. But most of my familiarity with him as a character comes from listening to a DC audiobook in my car, and then I just realized that is also how Batman is mostly learning about him, because he is listening to this story in his car, read by David Warner.
Amazing.
So, amazing how that works out.
Yeah, so he's after this guy named Arcady Duvall, which...
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna
lie. Makes me think I'm gonna make a red.
I'm not gonna lie, he's not... Or this plot is not very complicated, so I don't have a lot to say about it, but it is mostly just a tale of Jonah chasing after this guy, and then they have a... him, Arcady, and Raish, because, you know, Raish is immortal, he's there. They're working on something. I actually am not 100% sure.
It's like his plan is like to quote take over America.
Oh.
And they have like a blimp. It's like it's very. This episode like is kind of west into like very steampunk. Very quickly once this airship takes off, that's covered with just swarming with pirates. I have to call them pirates because they just look like pirates.
They do. So they're going to destroy the Transcontinental Railroad, which is being opened up by literal senator cameo. You told me about this. Do you want to?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember his name. That would help. Patrick Lee. Anyway, this dude is like he's a real life American senator, and he's a massive fan of Batman. And probably his biggest claim to fame or his relevance to us is that he makes a ton of cameos in all sorts of Batman media. He was in, I believe, Batman Forever. I think he was in. Let me see. I'll look this up again. Alright, so he was in Batman Forever. He was in Batman and Robin. He was in The Dark Knight Rises. He was in Batman v Superman. This dude loves Batman, and he's just. When he's not being a senator, he just makes Batman cameos. And he's in this episode.
He's voice acting like a governor or some sort of political figure.
Nah. Yeah, it's similar enough, yeah.
Yeah. And which is funny because I noticed it because I was like, man, this guy's acting is not quite what I was expecting. It felt like a little off. And then you looked at it and it was like, oh, it's that guy.
Yeah, we're doing the Amazon mouse over thing. And I just saw like the picture of the quote actor, and I was like, he's like got like an American pin lapel, and he's like wearing a suit. I'm like, is that dude? And I looked it up, and was like, yeah, it is. It's him. So I didn't know him by name, but I heard of him. So yeah. Fun little bit of trivia. Well, we should have put him on the movie bingo card, considering how much he shows up.
Right. So and then the last act is really just a lot of a fight scene with Jonah versus all these pirates, and just using their weapons against them, like using the cannon to blow open like a thing full of like hydrogen or something like that, and it like starts going down in flames. It's a decent action bit. And so it eventually concludes, and it goes back to the present day, which is Batman confronts Raish on a like airport strip and a runway. That's the word I'm looking for. And Raish has got the old guy in the wheelchair, and he's just like Raish is basically like trying to sympathize with him, like can you let me? And it's like Batman's just like, well, like who is this guy? Like why is it so important to you?
Why is that relevant to that story?
Yeah, and it turns out it's Arcady, who's been kept alive, I assume, by
Like a
Lazarus
residual Lazarus pit, like not full on immortal, but he's just aging slower.
Yeah, and it's like he's not gonna be able to live any longer. So it's like he is going to die, and right, and Batman's just like, why is it so important that Arcady lives, or why do you want him so bad? And Raish is just like, well, it's some roundabout way of going like, this is my son, like let me have some moments with one of my sons, and Batman just kind of goes like, all right, and they just kind of separate.
The episode.
Yeah. And yeah, it's straightforward. I can't say a lot about it, but
It's not a Batman episode.
it's not.
But it feels like a lot of early DCAU stuff prior to them doing Justice League, and especially Justice League Unlimited. Justice League Unlimited like really doubles down on getting like the most obscure DC characters. But in these early years, I feel like they kind of used any excuse they could to write and animate characters that were probably never going to get their own show, including Jonah Hex here. I think like characters like Flash. I think Flash first appears in a Superman episode, as does the Green Lantern, Hal Jordan. It's not Hal Jordan, it's Calvina. But anyway, so this feels like kind of an excuse to animate a different DC character, but that's fine. It's cool.
Yeah.
And the framing device of Rage telling this story because he was present there, that's really cool. I really like that. Because he was there. So how do you tie it into Batman? Well, just someone Batman knows just happened to be there. So.
Yeah,
we didn't put that positively. The framing is great.
It's just a good episode, even though it is not what you would expect. You would not expect an episode of Batman the Animated Series, or Batman and Robin, I guess now, to not be entirely around Batman, or at least like he's not even present in it because it's all a flashback to before he was born. But no, it's really good.
Speaking of Superman, Malcolm McDowell will go on to voice Metallo in that show. I guess they liked him too much to have him just voice a one-off character.
So I said low A.
It's A.
Yeah.
Probably because like the
plot's not.
It is.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like an incredible episode. It just feels like a episode of a different show, but still a decent one. So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Good, it's definitely different. Probably not the best first exposure, best introductory episode to Batman the Animated Series.
No.
If you were ever to do that.
But a fun episode regardless.
Yes.
All right. Are you ready for Villain Reform episode number 4?
Jeez. Yeah, I'm gonna have to be on time. I'm ready for Riddler's riddle.
Riddler's re-riddle. Oh man. So Riddler's reform. In this episode, Riddler reforms. It's like, oh, he's out on a clean bill of health. He's gonna reform, and he immediately is caught emptying boxes with goons at a warehouse somewhere, like out of a truck. Batman comes in and starts, roughing him up, and he's like, hold on, I've got a completely legitimate business going on here. These are my toys that I'm selling. Like, what are you doing here?
Like the CEO of Hasbro or whatever comes out, and he's like, yeah, we've opened a licensing deal. We've licensed the Riddler.
Yeah, the Riddler sells merch based on his villain persona, which is...
It's like it's kind of like Sony, because like Sony have the right to Spider-Man's villains, but not Spider-Man himself. So you get weird shit like the Kraven the Hunter movie and stuff. It's like, we can do the Riddler movie, but no Batman. So go away, Batman. We don't have your rights.
So he's selling just some silly stuff, and he's seen in commercials where he's like, hey, oh yeah, wacko toys, and it's a staircase full of junk. So
That reference to Warhammer is going to make absolutely no sense to anyone outside of like our Dark Tide circle.
It is very specifically us.
Mm.
Well, I hope the kids enjoy it. So,
Mm.
he, yeah. So yeah. What was it? Riddler is basically giving out a bunch of guff, like, "Hey, why don't you fuck off?" And
Riddle me this, fucker.
and Batman and Bruce's and Dick are at the Wayne Manor, and they're just like, "Man, Riddler said some very the way he said fuck off kind of made me think of, if you reverse the letters and then upside down."
No, I know. He's referring to the fuck off adult toy company.
So yeah, no, it's this thing where his commercials and what he says to Batman personally is Batman's like, wait a minute, this could be a hint. This is his game. He's still playing games, and what ends up happening is that he is still like masterminding like thefts and stuff, but he's doing it in a way where it's harder to catch him, and he's still dropping hints like riddles, like the commercial.
He's compelled to. He can't help himself.
Yeah, at one point he just gives like a number on a blackboard, and then he flips it over, and it's like, oh, this number means this latitude, longitude, location, and then he's like, wait a minute, but he flipped it upside down, so it's actually this written backwards, and yeah, it's like 10 Leslie. I'm like, oh, that's an address. And so he goes and finds these guys robbing a jewelry store. He pursues them, and this is the episode you were mentioning before. There's a lot of scenes outside in the rain, and the rain just really fucks with whatever their scaling thing was. So it suddenly just starts to look really shitty when they're outside.
Yeah, and you can almost like count the pixels. There's definitely something going on with his like HD conversion. It's it looks very odd.
But Batman chases them down, or I think they get away or something. But he confronts the Riddler, and he's like he got a meeting going on, and he does like a gag where he's in the other room talking to Batman, and one of his toys is actually a two-way microphone, so everybody at the meeting or in this little gathering are hearing Batman's conversation with Riddler, and it's like, oh, it makes him look stupid because he has no evidence of anything. And then
so he's like accusing him, and then he opens these double doors, and everyone's just like there, just looking at Batman, like, look at Batman, isn't he a big Dumbo? Like, let's all tell him to fuck off. Fuck off, Batman. He's like, oh, that's embarrassing. So like Batman's like kind of embarrassed, he's like, okay, I'm gonna have to pull out my trump card. I've been holding on to this one for a while. And he does like the most badass kind of Batman vanishing ever. He just like flashes for a second, and then he's gone. And everyone's like, whoa, wow, that's pretty cool. So it's like, he's been saving that one.
Yeah.
That's a Batman vanishing, but it's like literally in front of your eyes.
There was a weird sort of emphasis on this like really dramatic exit. It was very...
Yes, it's time with the lightning, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's physically impossible, but hey, what do I know? I'm not a Batman.
I think it's implying that like the flash like blinded them, or it's like that thing where you kind of see something on the back of your eyelids or whatever because of like a light flash, and then whenever your eyes adjust, suddenly he's gone, and it's like, that's cool.
Yeah, like a flashbang kind of thing.
Yeah. I have to acknowledge the other image before that.
You want to explain that?
Yeah, and there's him and the guy he's got a business deal with are talking at this meeting, and then Riddler suddenly makes that face, and it plays like a boing sound.
Like, boing.
Yeah, and then
it's like, yeah, very very Beavis, like boing.
Yeah, and then you see from his point of view a really hot woman walking up to him and talking of like being all seductive or whatever. Like
flirting with him. And then there's another one that joins her.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, that was the Riddler erection sound. Okay.
Yep.
So
Put it on the bingo card in case it ever comes up again. Riddler boner. They should have called this episode Riddler's boner.
he's like, riddle my lips. So.
Chortle at Riddler's boner, will they?
So yeah, just throwing that out there. That happens. So
Don't blame us. We didn't put it in.
yeah, they did it. So that culminates in Batman trying to again use his words to try to figure out what he's hinting at, and he eventually goes there, and it's a trap. It's this building that's all barred up, like a bunch of like shutters closed, and he's completely stuck in there, and there's a bomb about to go off, and with it, it goes off. There's the timer's counting down.
He taunts him to like a TV.
Yeah. And while that's happening, Riddler's was like, "Aha! I finally did it. There's no way he escaped that. So I'm going to start gloating about my success.
I'm gonna start burning my costume, even though I might need this for the toy thing. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna burn it symbolically.
Yeah, he literally burns his fucking outfit, and then he's just sitting there gloating about, oh, I finally did it. And then Batman shows up, and he's like, what? How did you survive that bomb that I set up for you that was supposed to kill you because I want to kill you? Because I am
I am a murderer. I am attempting murder on you, a man. I wanted to kill you. It was premeditated murder that didn't work.
I am absolutely confident in my ability to kill you. Why didn't it happen? And then Batman's like, hey, did you get that? And he's holding up the little toy.
No. He goes like, if you tell me about the where you hid the shit.
That's right, yeah.
He's like, I'll tell you about that. And he's like, he's so desperate to know. He's like, okay, I'll make you a deal. And then Batman's like, no. and then he just recorded that. So he's also the confession to the to stealing shit. And then Gordon comes in with the same two-way radio toy Riddler had, which, yeah, I guess they could have had their own radio, but there's a bit of poetic justice in them using his gizmo against him.
Yeah. So.
And he's just like, well, okay, but I'm under arrest. Can you just tell me how you escaped the bomb? And Batman's like, no. He's like, no, yep, I'd really like to know though. If you could just quickly mention it to me. And he's like, no. And he's like, no, you have to tell me. No. And then he comes to Arkham, and he's just screaming and raving about it. He goes like, I have to know. How did he get? And then all the other villains are covering their ears. And he's just like, shut up. That's honestly like my favorite Riddler moment in this entire show.
Yeah,
it's so good.
And then eventually he explains it to Dick and Alfred, I believe. And it's just like, there was a safe in there. He just climbed in the safe.
Yeah, it went all like the fridge in Indiana Jones.
Yeah. That feels like that's not hard to figure out, honestly, but...
Oh, they didn't figure it out.
Yeah, apparently Riddler... he's not that smart in this show, I guess.
They could have just, not even told the audience.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah. I mean, if they showed the safe, then...
You want to pay off.
Nah. It's a good bit, though. So...
Yeah. This is the first episode where Riddler kind of acts and does stuff that I'd expect him to. Like, this is Riddler... This really feels like Riddler as I'd expect him to be. Not video game stuff.
He's countered
his personality's on point as well, yeah.
He's countered by a riddle that he can't figure out, which is... Or not like...
That's his ego.
Yeah. But, like, that ending bit is so perfect for what he does, and not... He got... distracted in virtual reality and it fried his brain or something. I don't know. This was definitely a good Riddler episode. Like, I don't want to... I feel like I should be getting sick of the Reform episode idea, but this one is at least, like... It doesn't try to pretend that, like, he is actually doing it right, you know?
There's no mystery. There's no... Yeah.
I think
it's fine. It feels earned.
Yeah. I feel like it could have actually been a little more like Batman having to question whether or not he's actually reformed, but it feels like the show rewards him for just knowing that he isn't and just
I feel
assuming.
like we've done that too many times as well. Like, oh, maybe Ivy really
Yeah,
is reformed, and maybe
it's
you
true.
know.
Yeah, that's true. Um, but yeah, no, it's still a good episode.
Yeah,
So we put it in B.
yeah, we did. Yeah, best Riddler episode. Might even stick at the top. I really like that rant at the end.
Uh,
I don't know. Maybe I'm being a bit too.
no, I'm just looking at the
hasty.
rest of B. No, that's not wrong. Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, okay. Finally a good fucking Riddler episode.
Yeah, no kidding. All right.
Uh,
It's
really I'm gonna. It was really good though. But I am getting like sick of reform episodes and like the potential reforms. Yeah. What's next?
all right. So this one's Second Chance. This is a Two-Face reform episode.
Ah.
Yeah. Oh god. I feel kind of dumb not getting, like, not just guessing that was what it was gonna be based on both Second and also Second Chance.
I didn't know either.
That's
I
a
didn't know.
Two-Face
I mean,
reform episode written right there.
when the episode started, I was like, "Oh, I remember this one now." But like prior to that, I couldn't. From the title card alone, I couldn't remember. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't. I think there were like three. I just didn't have a clue about, and this was one of them. But then as soon as it started, I'm like, "Oh, it's that one."
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I already knew the twist. But anyway,
So, what's this one about?
so Two-Face is gonna have an operation. It's going to fix his face and it'll hopefully mend his psychological issues. Because that obviously, that would absolutely work. It worked so well in The Dark Knight Returns, which, despite us doing all this stuff, I keep forgetting that story is prior to this whole show. This kind of seems wild to me when I'm used to the movie they did about 10 years ago. Anyway,
Right.
so they're gonna like we're gonna repair his face, and nice little detail is who's paying for this? It's Bruce. It's like, oh, good old Bruce. Thanks, Bruce. He's on the operating table, and then suddenly some masked figures break in with guns, and they kidnap him. And they're apparently working for someone who just doesn't want this to happen. He gets dragged off, and the mystery is, well, who did this? And some nice callbacks to who may have done this. Obviously, we call back to his rivalry with Thorn, because he's the one who created Two-Face, kind of.
It literally shows, like,
we get I forgot to mention, we get this is a reoccurring thing in season 2. Like, Catwoman got one as well, where they just give a little backstory. Like, they didn't do that in the first season, but here we get a remake, fully reanimated version of Harvey's origin, including that shot of Harvey. No, although this line reading from Kevin Conroy is not nearly as good as the original. We'll have to do a tier list of line readings of Harvey. No.
It's not. It's a very brief. Like, it just shows that scene of him getting the the side of his face exploded. So
No, it's not the whole episode.
it just introduces what happened to him to scar him, essentially.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's interesting they're doing that now in season 2. They think it's necessary. So he's like tracking down it's like Thorn, Penguin. It's those two. So that one like chases down the leads. Yeah, and rather embarrassing moment where Batman gets beaten by Penguin, locked in a jail cell with a prison cell, I should say, by a bunch of pigeons. Like, what the hell?
They both
like,
kind of fuck
Batman,
up.
like Penguin. Yeah, Batman can't beat him in a straight fight, but apparently when he's locked in a prison cell, that's when he can win just fine. I don't know. That's kind of weird. I also, I would like maybe like a callback to his relationship with Poison Ivy. Not that Ivy would really give a shit for for the former DA to be killed at this point. It's like, but there's no reference to that. Penguin just kind of feels shoehorned in here.
There's another
whatever.
What ends up happening is there's another bit where Batman's very emotional about all of this because he cares about Harvey. He wants him to get better, and they kind of clumsily explain him being kind of emotional in that, he was trying really hard to get him, to save him, and then Robin was there and he's just like, and then Batman's just like, or Robin, I think he was like, oh, I kind of screwed this up, blah, 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 and then Batman's like, you did fine, and Robin's like, geez, stop being so emotional, stop gushing all over me, blah. And so it's this very awkward way of trying to get them to split up. So Batman pursues Penguin while Robin's pursuing Thorn. And in the process, Robin is like, he's on the roof. He's doing that thing where he's going to cut a hole in the skylight to sneak in to confront Thorn. And while he's doing that, a guard just walks up behind him, puts a gun to the back of his head. And that's where he wrote Robin, for God's sake, because he gets kidnapped again.
How many times did he get kidnapped throughout this show?
50. It's too fucking many. It felt like every episode he showed up in, something like that happened. Either he got kidnapped or incapacitated. So he gets, which to his credit in this one, he escapes himself. He doesn't need to be rescued.
Sure.
But,
and he's actually doing stuff, like he does the Thorn thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So he's at least doing something. He's not just being written out of the plot.
Like, yeah, it cuts to him, like, in the trunk of a car. He's all tied up. Kill him, but for God's sakes, don't take his mask off. So some goons are going to throw him off a bridge where they're like, yeah, we used to fish here on this bridge. It's like, all right.
I assume they mean the river, but yeah, it's
yeah.
a big suspension bridge. I just
Very
have a funny image.
Yeah. So, and then he ends up, like, kind of cutting the ropes while they aren't looking, and he escapes. Penguin's in Blackgate, which we just acknowledged because we don't see Blackgate much in this show, but he's just in this cell. He attacks him with with pigeons, and then I just really like the bit where he's just like, guards, it's Batman, he's here, he's trying to do something, and then the light shines on him, and he's like, no, down there, and then it goes down, and Batman's gone.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a nice flow to this episode that I liked.
Yeah, that's a good word, yeah.
So they kind of join back up and like, hey, what's going on here? Like, it's not Thorn, it's not Penguin. And then Batman's like, wait a second, it's Harvey Dent's greatest enemy, and I'm gonna do this alone. And Robin's like, fucking okay, man.
Riddler, show yourself.
Yes. So he goes to, I forget how they find him, but he's at a building, and Batman goes up there to the top of this abandoned building. It's like falling apart, or it's being built. One of those two. And it's like, oh, who kidnapped him? It's Harvey Dent. He kidnapped himself. He set up that because his
other persona just didn't want to be taken away, basically. Viewed as a threat.
So the Two-Face persona is just like, I couldn't let that happen. He wants to kill me, and so there's just like a kind of a big confrontation, which at the very end ends with Robin swooping in and saving the day because Batman nearly gets himself killed.
Yeah, so basically at one point, Batman's kind of captured, tied up, and Two-Face is like, want to flip the coin to decide your fate, and then at some point Batman swapped it with a I don't even know how this will work physically, but it always lands on its side. And that just makes Harvey freak the hell out, and while Batman's fighting henchmen, he's just constantly flipping this coin. He's just absolutely freaking out about it, to the point where he actually flicks it, he rolls off the side of the building here, and he just kind of goes for it.
Yeah.
So that's how he's beaten. It's a bit like Batman Forever, with him just throwing a million coins up at the same time. He just makes him freak out.
Well, that also happened in this show too.
Oh yeah, that's a good point as well. Yeah. This time it's the Joker coin.
Yeah.
No idea how that would work. I don't know, magnets or something. I don't know. But anyway, so it's a good little kind of. I mean, yeah, it's been done before, but his using his let's say weakness against him, his compulsions against him, and that's how he saves the day. And then there's this nice shot at the very end that kind of says Bruce is still trying to help him, and there might be a shred of hope for him after all.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a fun mystery plot. I know for a fact, and I don't want to say what, but the new Batman Adventures just has a similar plot with him. I won't spoil that. It's a good episode, yeah. And I wrote to you a good look into his psyche because we haven't really done that for a while. So it's a good mystery when. I mean, you probably can see it coming. I mean, I already knew about it once the episode started, but it's well done.
This is very much Two-Face Part 3.
Yeah, really, honestly.
Because it plays off of what made that two-parter really, really good. He isn't just a goofy villain who's two-themed. He's actually a character, and there's actually relationships going on, and so, and it's done very well. There's a lot of really nice scenes. This is just a solid episode.
Yeah. We put that in A.
We put it in A. I don't know if it should go at the top near the other Two-Face episode, but
I do find the characters their episodes tend to gravitate towards one another.
yeah. You know, I don't want to overthink
The
it.
bit with Penguin's a bit like what?
Yeah, Penguin never gets to.
I like the twist. I think the middle is a bit of a it's not amazing.
It's true.
It's
yeah.
kind of when I'm recalling this, the middle is a bit of a blur. When they're basically spinning their wheels just for this mystery thing.
Yeah, and I like the idea of it, like holding this mystery, and then how they go about figuring it out. But it really just comes down to like, oh, we think it's these two. Oh, it's not. So it's just Harvey. It's like
I think maybe like middle-ish of A.
yeah,
No,
let's do
anything
that.
like that.
That's fine.
Maybe there. I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking near Demon's Quest. Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
Fine.
That's
All right.
perfect. Okay. All right. So we have this interesting concept for an episode. We're going to take a villain and then try to see them reform and how they perform in society. That would be interesting.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
That would be interesting because like a lot of things you can do with that.
Another interesting
like,
idea.
Would Batman believe them? Would he try and help them? Like, what would you do with that?
And another interesting idea is, what if we gave Harley Quinn her own episode? Because she's a pretty interesting character. She's a lot of fun to write for. Somebody might have a sort of preference for her.
And I might want to. Once if we really once if we delve into a relationship with the gangster Boxy, that might be a good element to have in an episode.
Oh, you mean that guy that was in that other episode that focused on Harley Quinn?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh man. So, this episode starts with Batman and Robin escorting Scarecrow into.
Scarecrow.
I definitely said, Scarecrow, not the guy who does testing for Battle Craze, the villain from Batman. Escorting him into Arkham, and they passed. I'm mentioning that because that comes up again. They pass by Harley, who is like, "Hey," or someone there is like, "Hey, you're doing great. We're gonna let you go." And she's,
"You're saying
you are legally sane. You are allowed to leave." And she's all like, "Hey, B-Man, look at me. I'm free. Let's go." So she goes out.
Yeah, and there's this great bit where he's like, "Congratulations," and like shakes her hand. She's like, "Oh, thank you," and then he just won't let go for a moment. It's like, "Yep, but I'm watching you."
Right? Yeah. So, and she's like, well, she's legitimate. She wants to go out and live a life, and so she gets dressed in something casual, and just goes out with
probably a little too casual, like wearing like short shorts and roller skates.
Yeah, she's going out with her hyenas who are scaring everybody, but she's just living her life, and then she's like, hey, you know what? I should go buy a dress. So she goes and she gets a dress, and then kind of.
This is too relatable for someone who works in retail.
Oh, yeah.
You forget to take the security tag off.
Yes.
The security guard goes, "Oh, yeah, sorry about that. We'll just take that off." And she's like, "I'm not stealing. I'm not stealing." And then he's like, "Yeah, I know you're not. I just need to take the tag." He's like, "Hands off!" And then, then it just all kind of spirals out of control from that.
Oh yeah, because she actually has she actually meets up with Bruce, and
Bruce is there.
Yeah,
Bruce he happens to be there,
and he's
with Veronica.
Right, Veronica, who is, oh boy, she is a character in season 2. I mean, she's not much of a character; she just is in a lot of it. But
yeah.
So Harley, after the whole debacle, she stomps her way into the changing rooms, and then she pops out in the usual villain outfit, her costume, and she's just like, "I'm gonna start some shit," and she kidnaps Veronica, and just takes her car.
She takes her car, and she just happens to be in it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And then she drives off with it, and Veronica's basically an unwilling participant in this. And but Harley is still trying to be nice. She's just like, I'm just trying to get out of here. Like, I'm not going to hurt you or anything. I just need to get the fuck out of this place. I just need to escape.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm just getting some images in here because I like having images.
No, yeah, that's nice.
The shot of her certificate with the saying is just too good.
It's pretty good, yeah. All right, so Batman's trying to pursue her, but he also knows that she's legitimately trying. So he's like, we can try to, because he saw her at the store, so he's like, this is a misunderstanding. We can sort this out. I just need.
Yeah, he's sympathetic.
Yeah, I need to get her and try to fix her. Or, fix the situation, sorry. Sorry, no. Fix the situation.
You're sick.
No, she's sane.
Okay.
So, she goes to Boxy, the guy who ran the club in the other Harley episode from this season.
Can I just say, quickly,
yeah.
when we were going through the episodes and I saw the list and everything, I remember there being a Harley Quinn standalone episode. I didn't remember there were two, so my memories of these two episodes were just completely muddled. I did not know which one was which. I remember her. I think my memory was at one point I thought she's in the. Harley's I remember Harley driving a car and there was a redhead woman. I guess that was Poison Ivy. Just in my vague memory. So right. Yeah, I always see. I couldn't remember the difference between this and Harley Quinn. So
yeah, so. She's meeting up with the Boxy down at a wharf or something, because there's there's a fish market, and there's just a bunch of fish around, which is gonna come up. Meanwhile, Veronica's dad is full on Twist the Metal 4 Warthog. He's just in full military gear, and he's just like, Gordon, I need to get my daughter back, or I'm gonna fucking just wreck some shit. And he's just like, what?
Yeah.
So, and I think interchanged was a lot of this is Bullock keeps getting run off the road, and then his car gets smashed, the front of it's all messed
the other
up.
Entity in this, yeah.
Yeah, because that comes it becomes this thing where there's a sort of a building list of characters who are all chasing each other, where everybody is trying to get Harley and Harley's trying to get out. So she goes to she's with Boxy. The name is so silly to me.
Batman arrives.
Yeah, Batman arrives. I think Harley ends up getting kind of mad at him because he's just like, oh, this Veronica lady, we got to deal with her, and she's like, no, she gets to go free. I don't want her to be hurt. And then Boxy's like, that's not how I do things, and Harley's like, all right, and then they sort of fight. Batman and Robin show up, and Robin starts he's throwing, Boxy gets hit by a fish twice, just hit in the head and then knocked over. Robin's using fish like fucking nunchucks, or he's spinning them around constantly. It's a very, very silly fight scene. But eventually that leads the Veronica and Harley back in the car, running away. Batman's chasing them, Bullock's chasing them, Boxy's chasing them, and Veronica's dad is in a fucking tank. And, this was too much for me.
It's too silly. He's shooting the main gun and blowing. He's running over cars. Kind of remember the Tumbler in Batman Begins. He's just crushing cars.
Yeah, like
trying to get his daughter back.
He is wreaking havoc and probably killing people, but like, you know, it's a cartoon's obviously not, but it's still like it's just excessive. And he is like at one point Harley like nearly confronts this thing, and she ends up like U-turning. Is like it's a freaking tank. Like it's just a mess. And so what ends up happening is like all these people like converge on each other, end up like running into each other in an intersection. It's a very well done bit where it's just like all four of it keeps like showing different perspectives as they're all about to collide, and it ends with so like they all end up you know, they hit each other, and that kind of stops them their momentum, except for the tank.
Harley managed to crawl out. Yeah. Oh yeah. So the tank runs up.
Yeah, the tank runs over the car where, assumedly...
With his daughter in.
Yeah, assumedly Veronica's still in it. And it's like... And then he's like, wait, did I just... It's just like, you idiot! You fucking... What the fuck are you doing? So... But it leads up
to... That's that Twisted Metal 4 writing for you.
Yeah. It leads up to the rooftops, where it's mostly just like a confrontation with Batman and Harley. They're like... There's like a bunch of neon signs, like neon advertisements and stuff. And
yeah, Gotham's never looked like this. I've never seen this part of Gotham.
Yeah, it's weird, but it's cool.
It's cool. It's just never seen this in any other episode.
And Batman's, of course, trying to talk her down. It's like, I understand. Like, we need to talk. And she's just like, she's upset. She's like, everything. I was attacked by a tank. I am so done with this.
I'm having a bad day.
Yeah, she's having a bad day.
It's Harley Quinn in Falling Down.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Kind of what it is, yeah. And eventually she gets apprehended. There's like a lot of gags with the signs. There's like a big spoon for like a cereal ad, and she gets launched out of it, like stuff like that.
I'm grasping at straws here.
Oh yeah, yes. She at least gets to go out on a joke. So she gets apprehended. She's back at Arkham, and Batman shows up and has a, I don't know, a heart-to-heart in the very Batman way. He gives her
he bought her the dress.
He brought the dress and gave it to her, and she's like, she gives him like a little peck on the mouth, and then turns over to walk away, and then she's like, huh, and then she turns back and then basically starts making out with him. But like, it's in a cartoon, like they can't show it, so instead they focus entirely on Ivy, who's behind like one of those big glass walls in her cell,
and Robin,
and and it really made it look like Poison Ivy was really jealous. I was like,
probably, yeah.
It was a.
I'm surprised she didn't speak in this episode. Honestly,
yeah, very strange conclusion there, but and that's how it ends.
It's fun though. Yeah, it's very humorous. She said, like, call me, and she's like, don't push your luck.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
I also, very quick mention, no Joker, like, at all.
Right, yes, this was...
That's neat.
I noticed in this episode it felt very much like she is divorced from Joker at this point, in the sense of, like, being related to him in terms of plot. Like, like, they aren't just not hanging out anymore, like, they just don't care about each other anymore. Like, Harley does not mention him a single time, I don't think.
No. No, and that's quite refreshing.
Yeah.
Like, Harley Quinn, you know, he was very prominent, especially in the end, but he's like, nope, she can absolutely stand on her own 2 feet for a story. Which yeah, good for her. Like, good for the character.
Which I realize now is a little funny, considering, like, she spends every episode up until now being like fawning over him. It's like she cannot get him out of her mind, but this one she doesn't even mention him. It's like, but again,
maybe that's part of her reformation. It's just getting over him.
That's true.
I think it's like the most passing mention. Like she says to Veronica, like, "Oh, remember when you were held up, I was the clown girl pointing the gun at you." Or something.
That's right. Yeah, she's like, when I was with you.
Mentioned in a roundabout way, but
yeah. But that was a good bit too. I was the one pointing the gun at you. So, yeah.
Really enjoyed that one.
I really enjoyed this one. This is, I gotta say, I can't believe that they, like, after my experience with Harley Quinn, the character, in other media, that this character was actually a character I enjoyed. I actually liked seeing in this show.
It's great. I mean, I kind of forgot that. I was always kind of insistent, it's like, yeah, but she was good back in, like, her original show, and I'm like, I kind of forgot that, and then be watching, like, it's good to be validated. I'm like, yeah, no, she was good at one point. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I understand why she's popular now, because she is just a lot of fun.
Yeah. She can be when written correctly, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
And honestly, again, I've said this before, but like that vocal performance by Arlene Sorkin, just that is the character.
Sure.
You know, like anything else is just not the same.
Absolutely. Arkham City taught me that very well.
Oh my gosh, yeah, the difference between those two games, going from one to the other, it's like, man.
Yeah. I think this should be low A.
I think so. I think it's from our praising, it's being pushed up to A.
I would put it at least higher than Showdown, but if not, no, yeah, I think higher than Showdown.
Well, I'm gonna put it here because like,
yeah,
I can't even, I can't the clause ever admit this, but
yeah, sure. Did you want to move Catwalk up?
What,
above at least the Cat and the Claw.
Sure.
That was pretty entertaining too. Just a minor thing, but okay. Number 17. Lock up. So this episode begins in an unconventional way. It has Batman and Robin carrying Scarecrow into Arkham Asylum.
What is it with these episodes? Like, we're producing these episodes. We're gonna have something related to the previous one. It's like, right, this is another Reform episode, so let's have something in common with the previous one.
I don't know. That was very weird because
man, like we'll make jokes about different villains being jobbers and stuff, but we don't even see Scarecrow operating. And he's still just being arrested and being brought to Arkham.
Yeah.
Like, what's he even doing?
He gets two speaking roles in season 2, I think. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And both of them are him in pre-capture, like, or post-capture. Like, he's already being taken back to Arkham after his escape. It's
like the opening of the game Arkham Asylum, but it's him instead of Joker.
Right? Yeah. No, he got done dirty in this show.
The whole show, yeah.
Like, he at least got 3 episodes to him in season 1, but it feels like they
didn't know what they were doing with him.
Yeah, they didn't. They couldn't figure it out. So, but this one's a little different in that instead of it just being, oh, we got Scarecrow back, it's, oh, we got Scarecrow back, and he is really scared of Arkham for some reason. And so was Harley Quinn, who was also there because, well, we just
saw her got be arrested.
Yeah, so there is a security guard there named Lyle Bolton, and what is it? Bruce is there at a meeting where they're like reevaluating whether or not he should be brought back on, and they're like, all right,
so brought that up, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, so they're interviewing. It's like him and a board are interviewing a bunch of the inmates.
So I believe Wayne was one who like did the employment thing.
Yeah. They're talking to the inmates and they're like, all right, so how's Bolton's performance? And they're like, he's
make sure he's here in the room with us.
Right, yeah.
Watching you and
say it to his face. How is this performance? And they're like, it's really good.
He's great.
It's perfect. It's great. It's Scarecrow, Harley, Scarface. I don't remember if anybody.
That guy he's with.
Yeah,
that guy Scarface hangs out with. He's there as well.
Oh yeah, the ventriloquist there, and he screws it up where He's like, oh, no, no, and then Scarface is like, no, you dummy,
Yeah,
shut up. No, don't listen to him.
Yeah, so we're gonna renew his contract for another 18 months, and then like, oh no, and then ventriloquist is like, no, no, we're gonna speak up, and Scarface is like, shut up, idiot.
Oh, it's perfect. Everything's great. And then Bolton.
Like, this is our last chance, yeah, to speak up.
And Bolton is immediately just like
He handles it well. You know,
Yeah.
he just starts flying off the rails. He starts calling them scum. He starts saying like, you know, they're not human. They deserve death. You know, that goes well for his when you're trying to get your contract renewed.
I can't think of a relevant comparison, but it's one of those things where he's comically like overreacts to them. Like
He starts
like
punching people.
yeah, like he starts punching out like other people who work at the asylum, and he's a guy like he'll turn red and like veins will pop out of his skin. It's like he just goes into a fucking
Help me!
hulking rage. He looks like Bane. Like he's huge.
He looks like Bane in more ways than one.
Yeah.
I guess we should. I'm gonna start getting some pictures, but yeah.
Yeah. He is freaking out, and everyone's just like, "Oh God!" And it becomes obvious, like, okay, he can't be kept on. Like something's going on where he is torturing them. Oh, they actually say he's like he electrifies our bars.
Tie him down and electrify. Yeah. It's,
I think he threatened the doll Scarface, stuff like that, and
yeah, he held him over like a tin of termites.
that's it, yeah. And so it's like, okay, obviously this dude is fucked up. We gotta get him out of here. So he's fired.
No, Bruce is like, this man is clearly very passionate about his job. You're being promoted to head warden of Arkham. No, that doesn't happen. He's like, no, you. Oh yeah, the great bit. He does like the whole. Apparently, Bolton has the same weakness to Clock King because Bruce, obviously not trying to show off who he is, just kind of effortlessly trips him up to subdue him. So he just sticks his foot out, he trips over, and they manage to get him under control. So
he slides a chair. I remember he sticks some chair legs out and he just trips him and he falls, and that's how he's like apprehended. It's fucking weird. So he is Bolton is at home and he's watching TV, and Gleason says the line, I forget the full line, but she said like it's like a picture of Poison Ivy is up, and she's like, she's gorgeous, she's deadly, and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and it kind of like cuts away before we know she's talking about Poison Ivy, and then it's just like she's talking to her like it's gorgeous, and it's just like you wouldn't really say, you know, like John Wayne Gacy's like, oh, a funny guy, he likes kids. It's like no, what you don't. And then there's this bit with like Bolton, and he complains about the liberal media, and you know he's like kind of a right wing nut. But I'm just thinking, if they're that liberal, I can see a bit of a problem with news reporting in this town. It's a little too far. Yeah, I don't know if calling murderers gorgeous is
so
too much, but.
Yeah. He just decides, he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna take things into my own hands, and he just starts kidnapping like all of the relevant characters, like political figures. Yeah. Gordon,
yeah, the
Gleason.
ones he considers, the liberals, and like,
so
he gets one of these. I don't know where he got that.
Yeah, he's got all sorts of fantastic.
He's got
tech.
a van that eats cars. Yeah.
So, yeah, Gleason's locked in her car, and then this big machine just kidnaps the car with her in it. Certainly
Get a picture of the dude, because it's a look.
Yeah,
you really should be able to see who we're talking about.
Yeah, Lockup is the name of his persona name. He is Lockup. And, Batman's...
My villain Sona.
Yeah, Batman is in the like, store right in front of this, like, where Gleason was. He launches, Lockup launches some sort of I don't know, some sort of device that hooks onto the revolving door and locks it with like
I mean, this site is very helpful. I have a picture of it.
Yeah.
It's like a bolt from Bolton to bolt the door.
Yeah, and it's like got lights on it, it's beeping like it's like technology. It's just like
Batman's like, this is some sort of technology. It's like a tracking device, you know, like all tracking devices go beep beep with like loud lights.
Yeah, it's silly. He opens up a suitcase or something, and then like gas starts pouring out, and it's like it's the obscuring kind. He uses it to make like a makeshift changing room. Like he just changes into Batman in the
I got a picture of
gas.
that as well, but I think we get the
Yeah,
idea.
yeah. It's just a very strange concept for him.
It's kind of Iron Man. It kind of reminds me of the Iron Man suit that's like forms from a briefcase, but instead of that, it just opens up. It's got the bat suit in it, and it just also comes with complementary obscuring gas or
Yeah,
smoke.
I think the difference there.
It's fun little bit because he's not Superman. He can't just run to a phone booth.
Yeah, but it has this thing where it's like, yeah, well, people know Tony Stark is Iron Man. I remember correctly. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like Bruce Wayne just suddenly started turning into gas, and then Batman ran out. It's like, all right, but no one saw it, I guess, which means I don't even.
I'm pretty sure he did something worse than that in another episode. Like, because remember when he went to the elevator and they came back out, and then Batman came out, or the
Right.
bathroom.
The bathroom, yeah, the one. There's no other way out of there, so it's just Batman. But
Anyway,
so yeah, the guy's in, but he's all geared up, so he's like, oh, who is this guy? And then Bruce is like, well, there was that guy who likes to lock people up. It's probably Lockup. It's probably Bolton.
oh yeah, lockup. It's very brief. I would have thought it went on a bit longer, but he just when he sees Batman, he's just like, oh yes, I'm your new ally. We're gonna get these criminals together, and Batman's like, no, idiot. Like, your costume's terrible. I'm not teaming up with you. You suck.
You look like a big football player without a helmet.
You look like what if Brian Battler was in the Judge Dredd universe?
Yes, absolutely. So, I guess it's worth mentioning at this point. I think we consistently see the Batman and Robin intro. I think in all these episodes, and I think Robin is in every one of them. If even the ones where even like Showdown, like where Batman's not even the main character, Robin's still there. So that is just a consistent thing now. Is that it's just a Batman and Robin show.
Yeah.
So yeah, Hill, Gordon, Gleason, I think that's it. They all get kidnapped. Bullock is mentioned. I don't remember if he's there, but either way, like they're all. Oh no, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Bullock is on top of the police station, and he's like pinned to the wall. Yeah, he's pinned to the wall, and then he turns on the bat signal, and you were like, "This is like one of the rare times we see the bat signal. It is not very prominent in this show. It's kind of weird."
Surprisingly, like if you had asked me prior to I was watching this, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's a key part of the show." It's like, no, it's not at all. It doesn't even show up until like, what was it like? I can't even remember.
Cape and Cowl conspiracy. Yeah, it's like
it took ages to even just show up.
Yeah, it's in
Which
there.
is weird because it's like this has a lot of relation with the Burton movies that came out after Batman Returns, and that was like a key part of those movies. And it's just anyway,
but
weird.
and-
But yeah, the weirdest thing at this scene is that he arrives on the rooftop and Bullock's there, and he says, "Gordon." He goes, "No, it was me." He's pinned to the wall. Gordon got kidnapped, and Bullock says, "It's taken me 15 minutes to reach the bat signal." I don't know what he means by that. So all I could theorize is that it's taken him 15 minutes for his leg to grow long enough to hit the switch from where he is. I don't know. He says it took me 15 minutes. I'm like, what took you 15 minutes? What changed? But
he found like a stick.
Myself longer.
He found a stick, and he's like, "Oh wait, yeah, this is what I should do." It took him 15 minutes to think of that. I don't know, but I didn't even mention it. He does a thing where he cuts Bullock free, and then Bullock's like, "What are you gonna do?" And then he turns around and Batman's gone. They do that a lot in this show. I just feel like pointing that out. The Batman vanishing, but he figures out, Batman does, that there is this warship, or it's a ship.
It's like I think it was a prison ship, wasn't it? No.
Yeah, it's a big prison ship. I forget if it was a prison ship or was repurposed for one, but either way, it is a prison ship, and
I'm gonna go ahead and say repurposed because it had like guns and shit.
Yeah, that's true. So Bolton is there with all of the kidnapped people on this ship, and Um, the rest of the episode is a fight. Is them going to
Pretty
the ship
much.
and
It's not a
apprehending him.
bad fight. They end up tussling onto the ship starts to sink because of course it does.
Mm.
And then they end up fighting on the exposed propeller and rudder. So I think they're on the rudder. It sort of turns, and then for whatever reason the propellers are spinning, and Lockup tries to shove his face into it. It's not a bad action scene.
There's a weird bit though where it's like he's trying to get the guy. He's trying to kill Batman with the spinning propellers, and then he gets mud thrown on his face, and then he just kind of goes okay, and then locks him up and with his own bat cuffs, which is a weird visual. Yeah, but it's like
I get the feeling they had just had like the bat cuffs like animation prop. It's like and then Lockup puts handcuffs on Batman, and like okay, so they animated some handcuffs. It's like it's distinctly the bat cuffs because they have like little wings on them, the angular wings on them. Just like that's why does Lockup have bat cuffs? I mean, maybe they only work on Batman. I don't know.
It's just weird because like he's all about like punishing criminals, but not like he's not killing them. He's not like he's not murdering. He's all about locking them up. He's very specifically about getting justice for them, like in torturing them in the process. So he like tries to kill Batman, and then he goes, "Wait, I don't do that," and then just locks him up. It's like, what? Wait, huh?
Forgot his own gimmick.
Yeah, he was just like, wait, I shouldn't do that. Never mind.
I'm not the killer. I'm Lockup.
That mud woke me up, and now I won't do that anymore. So it ends with them like falling into the water, and then Batman uses his escape artist powers to get out of the cuffs and put him on lockup. And
yeah, he's kind of purposely like he's very, very particularly prepared for this one villain with all that escapology stuff he did with Zatanna.
Yeah. And that's the conclusion of that. Oh yeah, and then the ending scene is him walking amongst all of the Arkham inmates, because apparently he's insane, I guess. Which, sure, fine. But
I didn't really give much thought to that. I guess the poetry is that he ends up where he's working, but he's not particularly insane. I guess you could say that. Sure, he's a little unhinged.
A little bit,
and then he starts ranting that, now I'm in here, I can keep an eye on everyone, and he's happy.
Yeah, he's like, this is exactly what I wanted. And that's the end. I didn't like this episode, but I didn't dislike it enough either. We wrote low B, and I don't...
I'm thinking maybe C, actually.
Yeah. It's another episode where I don't have anything really good to say about it. But
I like the concept of I like the idea of someone who was like a member of authority, and he's corrupt. I like for a kids show. It's like kind of as political as they can get. The idea of a guy who's takes things too far. It's not subtle at all, but the idea that these are criminals, but you still have rights. You still have to treat them fairly, and then this guy just doesn't get that. So that's a good idea, but he's just. It
also feels a little too on the nose. Like it's very like 60s villain of just like, what's the guy who takes imprisonment too seriously? It's the prisoner guy, the imprisoner. He's the guy that likes to imprison people. His powers is the ability to lock people up. He's literally named Lockup. And
they could have themed him better. I don't know. He looks silly.
He looks silly.
It's not the worst design, but it's not good.
Also, it's just like all he cares about is locking people up. He just wants to lock people up. He's the Lockup. It just feels too just on the nose. It's
you're on the nose. You're right.
So
I think that's a C.
That's a C.
In retrospect.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was so positive about it, but
I think because it's not bad. It's not. There's nothing about it that made me go like, oh, this episode it has enough action to keep it interesting, but
maybe there.
Yeah, I was thinking near clocking.
Maybe.
Yeah. That's sure.
It's got
He's not.
some alright action, and I do like it conceptually. He's not. Well, I mean, he's very much a villain, but I like the villains who think they're right, even though he's not subtle about it at all.
It feels very fillery for this series.
Yeah.
For this show, this is a very filler episode. It's just.
This is very late on as well.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Let's you
Let's
know
make
what?
him laugh.
This show needs to make me laugh after that because that was just kind of whatever. Uh, and would you like to take the lead on this one?
Yeah, sure. Well, this was the debut of the most infamous Batman villain. They actually had to heavily censor this, and it was just too shocking. Because this is the debut, and I'm scared to say this name, the Condiment King. Yep, this is the Condiment King episode. He's here. Gotham will never be the same again. Relish this opportunity to watch this episode. Make sure you catch up with the other episodes first.
Mustered the strength to see the episode.
That's good. So there's this idiot going around in a fancy restaurant with a ketchup and mustard gun. He's like empty. He's stealing from them, right? He wants their wallets and everything. And everyone's just looking at him. His costume. We really, really need a picture of him.
Yeah.
And they just can't take him seriously. I mean, take in mind this is Gotham, so they're gonna just get out of here, idiot.
He squirts hot sauce in someone's mouth, and they're just like, "Oh,
that's
God."
a good bit. Yeah. He is causing a ruckus. He is. There he is. He is causing a disturbance because he has his ketchup and mustard gun. He's just squirting them at everyone. It's very rude. And there's a great bit where a guy's like, "Hey, stop this!" And he has it's almost like an accessory, like a sidearm or something, where he has a hot sauce sachet in his pocket and he squirts it into this guy's mouth. He's like, oh no. So he's not like an actual threat, but he's very annoying.
Yeah.
And then Batman comes in and he's like, what the hell? And he's like, yes, finally, my true adversary. I am the bane of your existence. I am the Condiment King. And Batman's like paralyzed with fear. And he starts crying and whimpering, and he goes, "I'm so sorry." And then Condiment King takes over Gotham, and then that's how the show ends. No, Condiment King, Batman just goes, "Shut up," and punches him in the gut, and he's like, "Wow, you actually hit me! Ow!" And then he kind of endangers himself. He jumps onto a ledge and starts ranting and raving, and he slips on his own ketchup. And almost dies. He falls onto Bullock and Montoya's car. And one of them's like, I recognize this guy. This is a comedian. Not the comedian from Watchmen, just a comedian. And then find out, what's going on? Why did this comedian do this? We move on, and then Alfred's out and about getting shopping or whatever he's supposed to do. And then this guy barges past him, very rude. He's also very rude. And he dresses up as a rat, and he says, I am the pack rat. And you think, oh, it's another silly villain. But then this one actually has some sort of submachine gun in his hand.
Pack
so
rat
he's
is
goddamn dangerous. The pack rat is packing, yes.
Yeah.
And his gimmick is that he just wants stupid random shit. He wants a dummy's arm. He wants the receiver from a payphone. Just another. Yeah, it's just kind of silly. Although this one's, he's definitely more of an actual threat because he has a real gun. That being said, he keeps bleating whenever he's around and whenever he speaks. It's very Ed and Eddie. You just hear this goat sound whenever he's around. What goats have got to do with this rat-themed guy? I have no idea. It Yeah, whenever he speaks and it makes it sound, I just kept thinking of Rolf from Ed, Edd n Eddy.
I think it's meant to.
Like,
It's like the soundtrack to his insanity. Like he's just supposed to be really like off his rocker, and it's just like, oh, that's silly goat noises. He's crazy.
it works. It works.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But it's just kind of. Yeah, I mean, it was like part of the score or something. It's very strange.
It happened like 5 times. It was prominent.
Yeah. Then Batman comes out and he's obviously not a match for Batman. He's more dangerous than the Condiment King because he has an actual gun, but Batman just pretty much just has fun with him. You can see him start swinging a golf club at him and he electrocutes himself. It's like no effort to take him down. So we're trying to figure out, and you might have to help me here. Does he find the brain patch on him?
I think so. That sounds about right.
Does he he fries him. Like, he electrocutes him.
Yeah.
So, because he gets it's very similar to Return of the Joker. At least the censored version. There's also a bit where Batman hands his gun to Robin, and I was just expecting him to just shoot him, but he doesn't do that. So he gets fried. I believe at this point they find the brain patch, and they recognize that this is the work of the criminal who knows the most about the human psyche, Scarecrow. Sorry, I mean Joker's Tetch. So they go check in on the Mad Hatter. And like, hey, Hatter, what are you up to? Stop being rude. And he's like, oh, he's dead. Like, he's just fine. He's like, Mad Hatter, die. No, he is unconscious. He has his own brain patch on him.
It like the way they move him around, it makes him look like he's a mannequin. Like I didn't know whether or not he was actually okay. Like I thought it was going to be like, oh, this is actually a dummy that looks like him. But no, he's
apparently happy about it, regardless.
Yeah, he's just sort of paralyzed. So it's using Mad Hatter's tech, but it's not him because he is just he's a dummy.
Yes.
I want to point out, while in between those shots, there's also a shot of one of the other comedians. They're supposed to be like they're judges on a show, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
The 3 judges for a show. The third one is this one lady. She's watching TV. She's watching the Riddler commercial from Riddler's Reform.
Yes.
Which was like including the same like number gimmick. Like it's literally the same audio. It's very weird.
Yeah.
So, and then she answers the door, and then there's a guy holding a pizza, and you're like, who is this? Except it's obviously the Joker because he's wearing purple, and it's Mark Hamill's voice. And she's like, I didn't order pizza, but it smells good, though. And he opens it up, and gas comes out and knocks her out.
Pizza gas.
Yeah. Can I ask you about...
I only eat my food in gas form.
Why are there an emote of a rat and a dog here?
That's not a dog, it's a goat.
Oh, okay. I was like... It's very small, so I thought it was like a shaggy dog or something, but no. Okay.
I'm sure it's going to be even clearer on the video.
Okay, now that explains that. Thank you.
Okay. So they remember back, and I believe they find footage of this, of like a failed comedian on the show showed up after they'd already finished judging. And I can't remember this. Almost said something very rude. Vim Shot was his name.
Oh boy.
And this idiot shows up. And he sucks. And they're like, get off the stage, idiot. And then Batman's like, takes a good look at this guy. And he's like, interesting that this man has a face. It's like, he's like, using the computer, if I just change his eyes, and then his nose, and then his mouth, and if I adjust his chin, replace his hair, change his whole skull structure basically, and then if I just remove all of that and then put the Joker's face on it, it's the Joker!
Yes.
Like, fucking what?
It's very weird. Like, it's like, here's the eyes, and then they suddenly turn into something completely different. It's like, that is not... That's just Photoshop, Batman. That's not how that works.
That's... Batman, I keep telling you, stop using deepfakes as excuse to beat up the Riddler. Alright? This is the Riddler.
Jesus
Riddler.
Christ.
Oh
So
my god. So they go to this comedy show, and we might as well just. So it's Joker's taken over the show, and this is where the episode starts to lose us,
mhm.
because we get his we get the reveal that his plan this time is to win a trophy, like just straight up, like that's it.
Yeah.
It's weird. I want to be. He has this line later on. He's just like, "Oh, it's not about the trophy. It's about being the funniest in Gotham." It's like, is it? It's like, really? That's the motivation here. So yeah, that's his motivation. He wants to be the funniest guy in Gotham, I guess. And also, we said before, this is post Phantasm. We've clearly got like a past look at Joker, and he worked for the mob prior to his. I think we're going with the Burton origin for him, way before he fell on the chemicals.
Mhm.
Him Joker. So like, I don't think this comedian persona is like him pre-Joker. I think this is just some shit he made up for a kick. So he's doing this, like, I guess that flashback. He's doing this as the Joker. He's getting pulled off the stage. Why is the Joker doing this? Like, I know he's like chaos and he just does shit that he finds amusing, but you wrote down it's beneath him, and it really is.
You know, that is
Get
the
it.
literal plot of this episode, is that Joker wants to be acknowledged for how funny he is. And that is
Yeah.
fucking weird. That's just strange. That is so strange.
We might as well get all of the fake villains here. There's the lady.
Yeah,
It
that's
becomes. I always heard it as Mighty Mop, but the subtitles she's apparently Mighty Mom.
that's what I
It just
heard,
I thought
so.
that because she uses a mop, so I don't know.
I forgot why we were
There's Robin
is
is most dignified. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like Robin, and it's like, oh, but that's because a villain, a random woman who is being mind controlled, fucking starts spanking him, and it's like, I get the gag because she's the mom, but holy shit, Robin, for fuck's sake, I think we went over something. Yeah, in Riddler's Reform, a like case or like a big shelf full of jewelry like falls on his leg, and that actually
yeah, and he's out of the episode.
yeah, that he's actually, we forgot about that. He gets knocked out of the episode for that. Like, he hurts his leg, and it's just like, that's him gone. Like, they have to keep writing out why he's not in episodes sometimes. It's
We
my
want
god.
him in more episodes, but we have to like bite him out of it when he doesn't really fit in.
Yeah, it's insane.
I like his character. I like his like voice acting and his personality, but good god.
Yeah, it's like
We've got to make a tier list like biggest jobber in this show, like Robin, Scarecrow, Penguin, you know,
yeah. No,
Condiment King.
yeah. I think Pack-Rat's scarier than some of these guys, I swear.
I mean, kind of some guy with an Uzi in the. I think the fact that he's just he's completely separated from Batman and he's in a very kind of domestic, realistic setting kind of made him a little bit scarier. Just this nut with a machine gun, like, oh my god.
Yeah, and it's also, I have to say, the Joker's gimmick in this show, or at least his weapon, is the laughing gas. And instead of using laughing gas, he's like, why don't I put chips inside of these guys and make them act like idiots out in public and cause a scene? What's
that got to do with his goal? It has nothing to do with it.
defaming
He's just trying
them,
to
I
humiliate
guess, but it doesn't even really, it doesn't specify that. It just, yeah, he just does that as, like, part of a unique gimmick. It's like, it's a lot more interesting than laughing gas, but it also, at the end of the day,
I feel
his
like,
motivations are just whatever.
I feel like they kind of robbed Mad Hatter of a potentially much better episode if they just tweeted a bit.
Yeah, because Matter's great. I mean, Joker's great too, don't get me wrong, but he's also,
Yeah, but
he's been in a lot of episodes, and not all of them have been great, and this is, spoilers, not one of the better ones.
what's his run been in this season?
This season?
Harley Quinn.
Oh yeah, that was it. He's had 2 episodes.
Oh.
And
Yeah,
one of them,
not many episodes.
one of them is not, he's not the focus. Well, he kind of is, he's the villain, but it's mostly about Harley.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then Yeah, this one. This is his only like solo episode in the entire season 2, and
Hmm.
he doesn't even appear that much. It's a trial. I guess I forgot about that, but again,
Yeah.
there's a lot of no. This is it. This is his main episode in season 2, and
Yeah.
it. The idea they came up with is that he wants people to think he's funny. Like he goes to the, and even Batman's like, why do you want this trophy so bad? He's like, it's not about the trophy. It's about being the
No,
funniest.
sending a message.
Yeah.
Oh no, sorry.
It's about sending a message. I'm the funniest.
Telling a joke. Yes.
It's
This is another. Right. So you remember what I said about like the Baby Doll's ending? Like if you just saw that isolated on YouTube, it's like, oh, what? Oh yeah, well, that was a great episode. Honestly, like the Condiment King scene is so good. Like if you watch that just by itself, you're like, oh, that'll be from a pretty good episode. But then you watch the rest of it, and it's really not.
yeah.
Like the Condiment King is the best. Well, I should just quickly surmise the plot. When they're having a fight outside, Joker basically gets humiliated. The trophy falls on his head. His pants fall down. He falls into the middle of the street, and everyone starts laughing at him. And that's like the one highlight of this little plot I voted down here. But I do like the idea that I want to be Gotham's funniest, but they instead of laughing with him, they're laughing at him. That's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
I like that bit. It still doesn't nullify the fact that the idea of him wanting to be the funniest. Like it's just like I want to be the most popular in Gotham. It's like, you know, he doesn't care what other people think. He just does whatever he likes doing. The
Yeah.
idea of him like chasing fame, that's just kind of weird. But I do like the irony and them laughing at him while I'm with him. That was something at least.
That's a fine bit, but it feels like it's in service of this plot that really didn't need to exist.
Yeah.
And I don't. Yeah, like he's all about causing chaos. Why does he care if people think he's funny?
He's very insecure.
It felt like they were like, what does the Joker do? He wants to be funny. That's like
The
somebody
idea
who
of him
didn't.
being pulled, yeah, like him being pulled off the stage, like that's kind of, you know, that doesn't make him look particularly tough. Like he let
Yeah.
that happen.
Yeah,
Granted,
yeah.
he kind of went back for them, more like months or years later. Well, I guess it was like a year. It was like the previous year's thing, I guess. So at least a year ago. But it's like, I'll get my revenge on them. But that's still kind of humiliating for him. Like the crown, you know, the clown prince of crime, and he's getting yanked off the stage.
Yeah, it's
I don't
not
know.
it's not clear whether or not they intended for that to be like while he was Joker and he was in disguise the whole time, but whenever he
I'm guessing
got
it must have been though.
he,
I figured if they say it was like a year ago or something.
well, yeah, I'm sure it was like a year prior, and it's like it doesn't it just isn't clear why it's just dumb. It's just dumb. It's a very weird idea, and it feels like it was written by somebody who didn't understand what was going on in this show.
Kinda, yeah.
So I did not like that one. I think we put it low C entirely because of things that were okay in it, but
Yeah. That's
that's
fine. The Condiment King scene is pretty good. It's not enough to redeem the whole thing, but
yeah.
yeah. So what about?
Uh, low C.
What do we say?
We said low C, which
It's not that bad. It's just his motivation just doesn't quite pan out. I don't know. Maybe there.
yeah, sure.
It's not boring.
No, it's not. I feel,
Yeah. I wish it was. It was just a bit disappointed. I wish it was better.
I feel like it's a disservice to, Batman's most prolific villain. Like, somebody who really deserves better than this, they kind of half-ass this idea. It just feels very strange.
It does. Yeah. It's definitely not the beat, but I have been going over this though, and I've started to realize who the Condiment King actually was. 'Cause I've been doing some hard hit. Well, I was doing some hard hitting research, in my favorite research program, Photoshop,
Oh god.
and I've realized now. Look, it was him all along. It was Joker all along. See, if you just change his eyes, his nose, his skin color, his lips, his hair, turns out it was the Joker. So.
wow, I
Yep.
never realized it
Yes.
before.
I presented that evidence to Commissioner Gordon. He's like, "Yep, go ahead. You now have a license to kill him."
In fact, you're the commissioner now. You're smarter than me, so
Right, let's move on.
thank you for that. Alright. 19. Deep Freeze.
Another silly episode.
Another-
Starring our favorite wacky funster, Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, he's gonna fucking drown in a pool of soup. And he's gonna get defeated in this episode.
When they laugh right. This
Yeah.
the Heart of Ice, hilarious. What's the cutting sound effects when he falls into the lab equipment? Whoop. My wife. Wah, wah.
Okay. So, Mr. Freeze comes back. He kind of took a bit of a leave after Heart of Ice was like 11 or something in season 1. Something very early. And then we have not seen him at all until
No.
now, where he gets the second episode.
I get the feeling that first episode went so well, they didn't want to like mess with him unless they had a good idea.
Yeah,
I'm
that's,
guessing.
that's probably fair. And because you don't want to ruin something that was so good, because
You don't want him at the poker table and almost got him. Like that kind of.
yeah. So this episode starts out with a robot ascending out of the water, I believe, and walking up to the gate or the fence at Arkham Asylum. Is it Arkham or is it Blackgate? I always forget.
I thought it was an Arkham because it was like a.
Mr. Freeze is from Arkham. Okay, thank you for that synopsis.
Yeah. I think I'm thrown off because I don't remember it being like waterside. It almost looks like an island.
Yeah.
But it does make sense why the robot came from the water, as we find out later.
Yeah. But it's a very silly robot. Do you have a picture of it on hand?
Have a look.
It breathes ice to break through like some security, and it's just basically marching in on the asylum. And Mr. Freeze is watching this from his cell a few floors up, and he's going like, "That's interesting."
Yeah.
And
yeah.
It's getting past all the security, and then it breaks
Then
into
it eats him.
Yeah, it breaks into Freeze's cell and then puts him into the trash compactor in his stomach, and and then kidnaps him.
His reaction's pretty good. It's like no.
Yeah. They make this point of they're looking at the security footage as seen here. Batman's watching it, and he's like, that is not an escape. He is very clearly in distress, and that takes a lot from a man who has as little emotions as he claims to have. So
Yeah.
He goes like, all right, well, this is a robot, so we know a guy who knows things about robots, so we get another appearance of Rossum.
Hardak. Let's go to our friend Hardak.
Let's go to Hardak. Ask, hey, do you have any like robot guys running around? Oh, you're scrap now. Oops, never mind. So they go to where Rossum's at, which is now it's outside of a farm. Now it's back in the city. He gave up on all that.
Yeah, the gardener thing. Yeah.
And
Nature sucks. I like robots. I want to make more robots.
yeah, so now he's making toys, and we are introduced to this by a little Batmite robot that flies out and greets Batman as just like is doing Batmite things, being insanely annoying. And
Yeah, like they wanted a pretty creative way to get a Batmite cameo in the show.
yeah.
God knows, that'd be a little shark jumpy if they just had an interdimensional being in this show, at least at this point.
Yeah, so it's like
Yeah, Batmite, and we just established who Batmite was from that other 70s show I mentioned earlier.
right. It's like Rossum's like, oh, I built all these. I'm making toys now, and it's like cuts to a shot of him like throwing the broken Batmite because it like malfunctions. He like throws it into a pile, and then there's like a bunch of toys, including, and they're all references. There's Crypto, there's Streaky the cat. I don't know what that is, And
Streaky the super guy. Shout out to Amazon actually just listing them all when you mouse over it, and
right.
Mr. Mickle Splick there from, which is kind of interesting because he actually shows up in the Superman show, and not in that design. Like that's like his original kind of comic design. Then when he shows up as an actual character, he does not look like that. Voiced by Gilbert Gottfried.
Oh, great, of course. Yeah, they had a little bit of fun with cameos there. And getting back to the plot, Rossum's like, yeah, I don't know anything about it. So, they fuck off.
No, he doesn't. He say like, oh, well, there's only one person who can make a robot like that, and that's Andrew Ryan from Bioshock.
Yes.
I can't even remember the character's name.
Yeah, Mr. House, Grant Walker? Yeah, Grant
Yes,
Walker.
okay, thanks.
Miss Grant is a good name for a rich guy. Well,
And it's voiced by the old man from RoboCop.
does that character not have a name, or is he just the old
No,
man?
no, no. He's called the old man. The
All right,
character's never had a name.
that's interesting.
Even in RoboCop 2, where he's like the main antagonist, he is not named.
he is a creep.
Yeah, that's absurd.
So it cuts to where Freeze is, where the robot takes him, which is Bioshock. It's a underwater
Like a
utopia
utopian city.
in like it very futuristic looking, and there's like big TV screens of Mr. Walker like talking to all the citizens, and it's very futuristic.
It's also Bioshock-esque in that like it's been a while since I played Bioshock, but it's like I think Bioshock's like 1930s or is it 1950s? I forget. But this show's going for the whole Art Deco. Well, it's Art Deco.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
this show and Bioshock both do the Art Deco thing, so it also resembles Rapture from that as well. So
Yeah. So, and so the old man Walker is he talks to Freeze, and he's like, "Hey, we got this society down here. It's pretty cool, but
it could be cooler."
it could be cooler. You got this thing going on where this accident you were in. It's basically made you immortal. Like you don't age. So
That's pretty cool.
that's pretty cool. So I think it would be cool if you made me if you give me what happened to you, make it happen again to me, so that I can be immortal because I want to live forever.
He's like, no, you really don't. This sucks. And he's like, I don't care what you think. You're gonna do it. It's like, well, he's like, make me bitch, and he destroys the robot. He's like, no. He's like, oh well, how about a bargaining chip? How about your wife? He's like, oh, my wife Nora, she's alive. He's like, yes, I pulled her out the wreckage. So if you help me, I will help you and your wife. So he agrees, and he's now working for this guy.
Yeah, it's kind of it just kind of happens. Like the next time you see them, the guy's in Walker is in this freeze suit, and then they pump some freeze venom into him, and then suddenly he becomes pale, and it's like, okay, well now he's suddenly just Mr. Freeze, number 2. Meanwhile, Batman and Robin are investigating this. They just go out there. I think that's where they get attacked by the shark torpedoes. I don't.
I know they suddenly go like all big. I can't control the size of them when I hit the base button.
Yeah.
I just want to get a picture of him, especially on that screen, just because, like, okay, I get the Andrew Ryan comparison, but why, like, the Mr. House, and that's why.
Yeah.
He just keeps appearing on this screen, especially that mustache.
Yeah,
and just
yeah.
being a wealthy guy. So
He just looks.
and,
like
and also for the record, Mr. House also was basically immortal, like through technology.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's very much a mashup of those two characters.
For sure. This is when I don't remember a lot of the details, a lot of the action bits. Like Batman, they like their ship gets blown up, the Bat boat or whatever gets blown up by these missiles, but they end up swimming into the Rapture, and they go down in there, and then some robots apprehend them, and then okay, I'm drawing a blank here. What happens?
Well, they confront Freeze, and well, they team up with him, don't they?
Yeah.
I can't remember ways.
Yeah. So Freeze Walker's like, all right, cool. So I'm now immortal, and that's all I wanted. But also, Mr. Freeze, build a giant freeze gun that turns Gotham into a fucking ice cube and destroys the world.
Yeah.
And it's like, why?
At first you're like, why? And then you're like, oh, because he needs the Sub-Zero environment, so he just doesn't need the suit anymore. He's just gonna fuck up the world, so you can avoid this slight inconvenience of having to wear this suit.
There's like a quick line about like, so I can get out of this suit. And he's just like, you want to destroy the world so that you can not have to wear this suit? Like, that's wow. So it becomes like, why does Freeze turn on him though? Because Freeze doesn't give a shit, does he?
He doesn't.
Because Batman's like, well, you can save Nora, but if you do, having killed the world, she's not going to like you anymore. Like,
yeah,
she is going to be extremely upset about that. So you can't, like, is this what you want to do? And Freeze is like, yeah, okay, good point. So he turns on him, and there's a good bit where like Freeze is helping destroy this whole facility, and he activates some sort of like, it's like it overloads the power and it starts freezing the underwater paradise, and it's just like, oh, everybody here. It kind of implies like everyone's just going to get on escape boats and leave. Mr. Freeze is like, you have like 10 minutes to get out of here or something before it all goes down. And it's just like, okay, I guess they're just implying that they will all get out of there just fine, but obviously some people would fucking die if that happened. But they all start evacuating. The place starts going under, and Batman tries to get him to leave, and he's just like, no. And he goes down with Nora, but they get like encased in ice and just start like floating away. And Walker is also pinned to like some sort of wall.
He's frozen.
Yeah, he's frozen to a wall. He's like completely encased in ice, but he's not frozen himself because he's still moving within the ice. But he's just kind of in a stasis almost. And he starts sinking to the bottom of the ocean, and he's like freaking out. And I'm like, I think that ice is gonna melt like within a little bit. Like you're gonna be fine. But
yeah, I don't know how buoyant that suit is.
Yeah. It's I don't know, it was just kind of a weird bit where it implies like, oh, he's gonna be stuck at the bottom of the ocean forever. And it's like, no, he's gonna be fine, I think. But his whole place is obviously completely wrecked. But yeah, that's.
We need to get Robin out of the picture. Oh no! So like Freeze, he comes Freeze. He's like, "Come with me." He's like, "Well, no." He's like, "No. Either try and get me, or you've got to save your boy idiot here." And like Robin's like, "Oh, damn it again." Yeah. So that's how Freeze gets away.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Which, that was also in the Batman and Robin movie, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, they put him in, like, the hot bath or whatever.
Yeah, that was the same exact thing happened there.
Speaking of movies,
yes.
I think our biggest takeaway from this episode was, this felt more like this isn't even a two-parter, but this felt more like a movie, plot-wise, than the Sub-Zero movie, which I guess is the direct sequel to this.
Yeah.
So.
This...
Because it's a good one.
Yeah, I felt like, I don't know if I described it in the way that made it sound like a good episode. It's one of those ones
where it is good.
We enjoyed it, but that's why we didn't have a lot of, like, particularly, like, intricate notes about it, just because it was just an episode we enjoyed. It's not a deep episode by any means, so it's mostly just it's a Freeze episode. It's a good, solid sequel episode for Mr. Freeze, where it's just he's a great character in this show, and
Yeah.
they just made basically Heart of Ice Part 2, and he's still good. So
Yeah.
yeah, great episode.
Yeah. Yeah. Only complaint was with the we have to establish Walker and his whole like underwater utopia kind of thing. And I feel like to try that in a single episode, you wrote here, it feels a bit cramped. And again, this honestly could have been a movie.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like they kind of wasted this plot, honestly, because the Sub-Zero movie isn't nearly as interesting as this.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is like what, part 2 in Mr. Freeze's arc on the original show. Yeah, it's the biggest. It's not a bad episode when the biggest complaint is that I wish it was a bit longer. You know?
Right, yeah, for sure.
So yeah, that's an A.
That's an A. Just put it next to Heart of Ice, I'd say.
Cool. I'll put it slightly to the right of it because it's not quite as refined as that one.
Yeah,
Although it wasn't a chicken soup, but anyway.
Right, yeah. No, yeah, I think that's fair. All right. So,
Final episode.
series finale right here. Not that it was billed as such. I don't assume they intended it for. I don't think.
I'd be surprised if it was, because this is not. That would not be a good time to develop a character.
This is to get ahead of it.
I mean, it does kind of pay off because the new Batman Adventures is a sequel series, even if it isn't quote the same show. So this isn't like, giving Batgirl a bit more development doesn't hurt. But yeah, it definitely is not something you would have done if they realize this is the final episode. I don't imagine.
Yeah. So this is Batgirl returns. To get ahead of it, Batman is not in this episode at all.
Oh.
He is in a dream sequence, and Bruce makes a cameo at some point. But Batman proper, not in this episode one bit. And,
even less than the Wild West episode.
Yeah. Like it is strictly. It isn't just a POV of somebody else. It is just not a Batman episode at all. Which
Very good on them for having the confidence to do that.
Yeah, honestly. So
Robin's a side character as well, so it's about Batgirl, Robin, and Catwoman.
Yeah. This is a Batgirl and Catwoman episode. Robin's there too. I guess So
Robin.
So the episode starts out with you noted it's very fan servicey. There's 3 villains fighting Batman on a roof.
Yeah.
And what is it? Penguin, Joker, and Two-Face. And you're immediately like,
yeah.
this is a dream sequence because this is just way too much at the start here. It's like way too on the nose. And
I know what got me was the fact that Penguin was winning. He had like this lightning umbrella and he was kicking Batman's ass. I'm like, yeah, no, this isn't real. This is not happening.
Absolutely, yeah. So Batgirl comes in and saves the day, and I think they're about to have a romantic, very Killing Joke-esque scene. Before Batman starts yelling at her in Robin's voice. So she wakes up, Barbara wakes up, and she's like, I'm in school, I'm studying, and Robin, Dick, why are you yelling at my window? Because they don't know who each other are yet, which is interesting. She's like, Dick, why are you yelling at me? And he's like, get out of here, we're gonna have some fun. She's like, nope, school.
I just bought this one image of badass penguin, fantasy penguin. The only time he'll ever be a badass.
So she's pining for more Batgirl related shenanigans. She hasn't. I don't know if she's done it at all since the Batgirl episode, the 2-parter, but I think it's implying not. Then again, she also has like
it's
gear
hard
now,
to say.
So. yeah, it's just like, oh, she wants to do more Batgirl stuff, so she just like, screw it, I'm gonna gear up and go fight some crime. And as she hears something about a robbery of the Jade Cat, so
Wonder who's associated with that. Well, that's kind of the joke of the episode. But...
yeah, it is. So she goes to look at it, and Catwoman is already there, and so they have a bit of a fight before Catwoman's like, "Yo, like, I didn't do this." She's just like, "What?" And she points out, like, "Oh, these wires that were supposed to be the alarm system were cut with acid. That's not my MO. I just do this thing where I put my claws in a circle and cut a hole in it." And then she just does it, which was kind of weird.
I
it's
like that.
She's like, "Oh, here's how I do it right here. Now I've left evidence that I broke in here." It's like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But yeah, and then the two of them just kind of team up, and then they go investigate what's going on, and it is that's kind of the thrust of the plot. Robin is like following them, but it doesn't. He's I forget actually why I wrote this, but Robin sucks. He
gets like knocked down. He's like telling Batgirl off, but he's like being incompetent. It's like, oh, you're a terrible crime fighter, he says, as she's untying him.
Right? Yeah.
The idiot.
He's young. He's supposed to be foolish, but like, boy, it feels like they hammered it in way too hard. He is poorly represented in this show.
It's still, despite all this, he's still likable, but
yeah. He's got some good banter with Batman, but he has his moments of just like, God, shut up! You do not know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So, they go to a bar, or like it's like a seedy bar or something, where some criminals or low lifes and thugs are hanging out. Catwoman knows a guy who knows things about poisons, I think, or acids. It's something like he's like the chemist.
It's acids. Yeah, he's known as the chemist.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and we wrote Dr. Rat because he has very distinctly like giant buck teeth and these like big glasses that give him like black eyes, I think. Oh yeah. Yeah, he very much looks like he's supposed to be a rat character or something, but he's just...
Yeah, the Bat King or something.
Yeah, he's just a very...
Pack rat. That's why I put the goat.
Yeah, I get that now. At first I was like, Dr. Rat, and here's a dog. It's like, what? But, so yeah, she's...
Oh, before we move on, because we're going to get further disconnected from it, Bruce isn't in this episode because he's in Paris, France, which gave us more Killing Joke flashbacks, especially after that intro.
It's not the only time we'll be thinking about a terrible Batman piece of media, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're interrogating this guy. He clearly doesn't want to say anything because he doesn't want to get caught up. Like he's going to get offed if he gives away information.
He's no rat, even though he looks like one.
Right. Yeah. And he ends up making a break for it. A big fight breaks out in the bar. Fuck your table is in reference to like some guy in the background is just like it looks like he's supposed to be like beating up somebody who's on the floor, like he's like hitting them over and over with a piece of wood or something, but it really looks like
this site actually has that image. Astonishingly,
yeah.
It's just like it's like fighting game background animation, but it's just a looping animation of him. It just looks like he's smashing a table in with like a nightstick.
Yes, it's very silly. But they end up something they learn from him ends up leading them to this like a warehouse or factory, like abandoned factory sort of setting. And then it's like, oh, this is a place that Daggett owns, and they reference Clayface.
Yeah, we love that episode.
And then she throws out a reference to Daggett, who released a virus, and that's the last time that they had to deal with them. And it's like, this is a sequel to Cat Scratch Fever, okay?
Yeah.
What a strange thing.
It absolutely is.
But yeah,
it is.
The episode we have ranked the lowest this is a sequel to that, which is interesting that it
We need
ended
to
up being
follow
pretty.
up on that.
Yeah, ended up being pretty good despite that. There's some weird. The animation is there's weirdness with the animation, but it's not terrible either.
It's not too bad. Well, it's
Yeah.
better than than
Yeah.
the episode is alluding to.
Yeah. Because they reference it several times, Cat Scratch Fever. But yeah, it ends up, Daggett's there with the Jade Cat, and they confront him, and he's just like, yeah, I'm just hawking this for money. I stole a cat entirely because you steal cat shit, so I'm doing that to frame you. Which I thought was really funny. It's just like...
Yeah, the most self-aware character in this universe.
Yeah, exactly. Like, everybody just steals theme shit, so I'm just gonna steal a cat. I'll steal 2 cats, and it'll implicate both you and Two-Face. So...
I'll steal some bad birds, I'll steal some video games, I don't know.
Some green stuff. Red stuff.
Some plants, yeah.
Yeah. So, there's a kind of... And then Robin shows up, too, and then there's just a big action bit. Daggett has that thing where he trips and falls and nearly tumbles into a vat of something, but...
Thankfully, God was on his side, because a rope or chain magically wraps itself on the leg, just as God intervened to save the Joker.
Yeah,
in the last laugh.
That was a weird
miracle.
Recurring bit there. Very strange. But yeah, and we noted Batgirl has like the bat bolas and the grappling hook. And it's just like, where did she get all this stuff? Like, she isn't working with Batman. She's not rich. I don't assume. I mean,
she's not. I'm assuming these aren't police things.
Yeah.
She's taking from her dad.
Yeah. Very, very strange. But that's kind of it, actually.
I'd say the big highlight, it's not like a specific moment we could talk about in the plot synopsis. This is Catwoman at her most Catwoman. Like, this is the epitome of how I would imagine Catwoman from Batman to behave. Like, the real kind of, like, I'm a thief and I'm getting away. So at the end, she says, oh, I'll go in the police car. She said, I'll let them take me away. And they go, like, good. And then she just immediately breaks out the car and she says, I didn't say how far I'd let them take me, though. It's, I'm trying to think, like, there's just similar characters, just the sort of, the thief who's just not like a real villain, like a nasty antagonist, just the sort of, I'm just stealing. Like people aren't getting hurt by me stealing. So, like, I'm not that bad and just kind of doing it for the thrill. I mean, I wrote down, like, Catwoman is independently wealthy in this interpretation. She's clearly just doing it for the fun. And this is where she is, like, 100% just doing that. Like, this feels like... she just feels like Catwoman now. And I don't mean, like, the insane version or the one who works in the red light district.
The 2 primary characters, Catwoman and Batgirl, are very, very good in this episode. This episode is...
They're good with each other as well.
Yeah, like, this episode is very much carried by their dynamic and just how entertaining they are. And they are both very good, so... this ended up being one of the better episodes, for sure. We liked it a lot.
It's to end on a high.
Yes, it definitely ended on a good note. We put in an A.
I think it's almost even... About there.
Put it near the other season finale. Almost got him. Wait.
Damn it! Yeah, I actually fell for that. I was like, yeah, that was like, oh no, not at all.
No, that's fine. Yeah, that's a good place for it. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. It doesn't really matter, really, does it?
Yeah, I do want to point out this note of Batgirl. That whole thing with the guy who identified Batgirl in her episode. Yeah, that wasn't relevant to anything. Like,
no,
they were like, he's in a coma, so we never have to worry about him again. So that was never.
Yeah, I saw Batgirl Returns was coming up, and I was like, oh, I guess that's when that comes up again. Like, oh, maybe like he comes up with his coma and he threatens Barbara or something. So it's like, no, he's gone. Because I remember saying to you, like, I looked on the Wikipedia page for that guy who's like a cop. It's like his only appearance is this episode. I'm like, well, never seen him again.
I assumed as much. Like, I assumed that's why he was in a coma, so they can brush off.
But then why show his face?
don't know. Like that. That's the same
Not
thing.
sure it's fake. She actually says who she is, but still.
Yeah, yeah. That's
I
like
might even have that bit.
that's like the Lion and the Unicorn. It's like, oh, the identity was revealed. It's like, who cares? I don't know. I have no clue. But
Weird.
that's yeah.
That's it. We've done the show.
That's
The entire show.
the entire 85 episodes of Batman the Animated Series, aka The Adventures of Batman and Robin.
Yeah, sure.
I can't keep
Well,
straight with the
certain
actual title.
episodes?
Yeah, the certain.
And then you get like
episodes of the
Time
title.
Media with that name, like those games, which are all
Right.
different games.
Yeah, yeah. Very, very strange, but so I guess how do we review season 2 and how do we review the entire show? Since that's where we're at now.
Season 2 just felt a bit more confident, other than that weird blip with the terrible trio.
Yeah, yeah.
It felt like they, as we said about the end of season 1, like it's even more true here that they felt more. I think they did so many Reform episodes simply because they had these characters established. They probably wanted to do a bunch of Reform stuff in season 1, but they were like, yeah, we need some more. They need to be in a few more stories first before we can really do these like kind of self-aware, self-reflection kind of plots.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I think is true, but with this season being so short, it really feels like every other episode is a Reform episode.
That was very weird, for sure.
We have 2 episodes with Batman not as a protagonist.
Yeah.
We have a debut of Bane, who's like a new character. We've got some more OCs. We've got a new OC with the Baby Doll, who did not quite make the Harley Quinn impact, but
yeah,
just good. I mean, we've got to remember there's only like a year between these. It's not like a 5-year hiatus, you know. Like it's not. It's going to be a lot more drastic when we get to the sequel series with the redesigns and everything.
Is that 3 episodes, I guess, for OC villains, and none of them we liked? We have the Terrible Trio, which was garbage. Baby Doll, which was poorly executed.
The Terrible Trio from comics. They are comic characters.
That's right, I forgot.
Yeah. I mean, I found it hard to believe when I found it out, but...
Yeah. No, you're right. I forgot about that. That's... Ugh. So yeah, I guess it was just, Baby Doll and Lockup.
Red Claw, I think is...
Well, that was a new for this,
Yeah, gosh. All right, yeah.
New for this season. New for this, entirely for the show. They didn't... And then, Red Claw, obviously, also didn't impress us very much, so... Their OCs were pretty weak in this season.
Maybe they're trying to replicate that Harley Quinn energy and it just didn't work.
Yeah. They certainly tried with Baby Doll.
We're not getting that standalone Lockup movie anytime soon.
Yeah, no kidding. I don't know, I felt there's something about season 2, like I think I was discussing this with you, it very much feels different, and I think it's because
It does.
like it feels like they try to double down on the more comic booky, lighthearted stuff, and do a little less of the self-serious stuff. There's not a lot of self-serious stuff, and even like the ones I can think of is like the Baby Doll episode where it's mostly pretty silly, and then they have a serious moment at the end. But it's a lot more comic book villain, if that makes sense. Like, it's a lot more exaggerated. They try to do a lot more unique stuff as opposed to just establishing a new character, like new to the show.
I've noticed something.
What's that?
A lot of this, I think there's literally just... I think the only episode that does not really heavily rely on previous episodes and previous continuity is the Terrible Trio, because even Lockup, which is a new character, it has him interacting a lot with the other villains at the very start in Arkham. So
Yeah,
like we've
yeah.
established Arkham and all that, and then if you go through these, like the only one that kind of exists, even Bane, he's interacting with Candace, who was in the Two-Face episodes. Like even she and Thorn as well.
And Killer Croc, let's not forget him.
Yeah, I did forget him.
Poor Croc.
Poor Croc.
Yeah, but you're
So
right.
a thing in season 2 was just a lot of continuity here.
You notice a lot of it is focused on where do we take these characters that we have already established. Like, now that we have our roster, what do we do interesting with them? And I think that's why we have a lot of Reform episodes, is because we have a lot of, well, we have these villains, what's new with them? Well, I mean, just showing them being villains isn't always going to work. We have to mix it up. And they dipped into that.
It would be fun to see this.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, we really like Harley. And I think she's probably popular at this point. Let's give her own episodes. Let's have villains interacting with each other. Let's have Catwoman and Scarface. You know?
I find it interesting. The only one that does not rely on many like established characters is Terrible Trio, which was our only baby mod for this season. I wonder if that's related.
Baby Doll is also kind of in its own. It's isolated, I think, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Yeah, she isn't really.
It's
other than yeah, that's valid. Yeah.
But yeah, that's 2 out of 20. Like, everything else is strictly a follow up to something. There's a lot of sequel episodes. There was Deep Freeze is a Heart of Ice Part 2. Second Chance is Two-Face Part 3.
Yeah.
I
wonder when they did the VHS releases, you could bundle a lot of these. You know, like those 3 Two-Faces, like you said. Three-Face.
Yeah, Three-Face. Bane is
the 2 Harley episodes. You know, they pair up.
Yeah.
I mean, I told you I couldn't even tell them apart in my memory.
It's actually kind of weird that there's only 1 Joker episode. I guess, again, there's kind of 2. But
it is, yeah.
It's really just the one focused strictly on him.
There was no Scarecrow other than him being hauled off and screaming.
Yeah. Again, he did get 3 episodes in season 1, so I'm not so...
Yeah.
I don't feel too much about that, but it is kind of funny. Like, no Mad Hatter episodes?
He shows up, he doesn't speak though.
Well,
he does speak. He's
in the trial. He's in the trial, so like he gets a decent bit there. But he also got 3 episodes in season 1, so again, he's fine. But yeah, no, you're right. It is very much they've stopped. It feels like they've stopped experimenting with what they can do with the characters that they have to pick from for new introductions. Like, they just do Bane and, well, the Terrible Trio, but I can't...
They're not experimenting anymore. There's like no kind of... Oh, here's the plot of the history of this mob boss and his relationship with his son or something. Like, there's none of that shit. Like, that's gone.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just... Here's the villain of the week, and sometimes they mix him up with somebody else. And it feels... I don't want to say lighthearted, but it is definitely...
No, it's definitely more... No, you're absolutely right.
Like, you have I Am the Knight in Season 1, and you don't get anything even close to that in Season 2. It is a lot more... Batman and Robin fight colorful villains. And no Clayface, or Feet of Clays. I mean, you don't even get Clayface at all.
The closest we get to one of those kind of like melodramatic episodes is Baby Doll, and that's strictly in the ending, because like we said, we don't feel like... It even feels like that up until that very specific point.
Yeah. I'm going to again repeat something that you said. We have come a long way since On Leather Wings. Like, this feels like... It doesn't feel too much like a different show, but it does feel like a different show. Like, it...
I think it's just like they know what works and what doesn't.
Yeah,
And they probably also, the writers probably know what they like writing for as well, like Quinn. Like, that definitely worked, so we're gonna do more of that. It's just a lot more of the characters, like, there's hardly any episodes that are just mobsters. Even the Terrible Trio, as underwhelming as they are still comic book villains. Still wearing masks, so...
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, there was, aside from, the baby doll thing, there was nothing that I would say was dark in Season 2 at all. Like, there was...
No.
Like, it never surprised me and how, like, serious it felt. It never... it didn't...
Even the Mr. Freeze one didn't really get that melodramatic.
Yeah, it was, like, his motivation was still there, but he wasn't... He didn't really get a lot of, like, monologuing. He was just like, no, you don't want to be me. It sucks.
We didn't get him... They probably just didn't have enough time for him to be staring at the snow globe, because they were like, shit, we're going to squeeze, like, a movie plot into this, 22 minutes.
I would say, it didn't feel like they wasted a lot of time in Season 2. It felt like a lot of... Like we said, a lot of episodes felt like they suddenly ended, because it was so packed together with just stuff happening that it didn't feel like there was too much, like, filler going on. So it felt like,
I would say,
better writing. I guess in the overall, I would say better writing, as even though there were some episodes we didn't like, more competent.
It feels more confident.
Yeah.
Feels like it just understands itself better. I mean, it's interesting that we didn't get any S's, but I would say if you gave the average, I mean, we've got a grid here to probably literally figure it out, but I would say the average is better than Season 1. Although granted, it's like Season 1 was just more of it, so like more lows but more highs. Whereas I think Season 2 would be easier to recommend if only because there's less of it.
Yeah, for sure.
But as for the show as a whole, it's like its reputation is well earned. And again, just because we put something to see, it's still better than most cartoons, honestly.
Yeah, no, there are not even 10 episodes of the 85 that we would say that you can avoid. Like, or you just skip. Like, it's not even, like, you're not going to hate yourself while you're watching The Underdwellers. It is a very bizarre episode, but it is not a torture to see.
I'd say the only ones that are like more kind of objectively bad are Baby Mad, and even that's just our opinion.
Yeah.
There's nothing like truly horrific here. I think Cat Scratch Fever is easily the most incompetent. But
it's incompetently made, but it never. I know none of these episodes frustrated us. Like, you've got Terrible Trio, which is just feels like it's badly made. That one's maybe the closest. It was after their confidence, after 65 episodes, you'd think that they would have gotten the picture, but somehow that one seemed to have slipped through, and that one feels weird for that. But it's not. I didn't hate it. Batman in My Basement is funny.
Yeah.
Cat Scratch Fever is hilariously incompetent, and that's the worst I could say about it.
If that's your worst, then you're not doing too badly.
Yeah. Like, if you binge the entire show and you didn't skip these episodes down in D and Baby Mad, you're not gonna hate them. You're gonna know that they're not gonna be that good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
I imagine we're gonna give ourselves a bit of a break from Batman, and then I feel like we'll probably inevitably do the new Batman Adventures.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun.
And there's a lot less of that as well. So, and I feel like we've got our kind of system a bit more refined now of how we go about this. Do 10 episodes at a time, then review. Do not try and review 60 plus at once. But it's a learning process.
Yeah. So yeah, the new Batman Adventures is 24 episodes in its entirety. It is almost as long as Season 2, a little bit longer of this show.
Maybe even do that sooner than we expect. We'll see.
Yeah. But,
no promises.
But yeah, I have a lot of fun doing this. It's very interesting to see how they tackled what is a very interesting concept, just like a pretty serious Batman show for kids, is a novel concept, and I think for the most part executed very well. I was very surprised by how much I enjoyed the show. Not surprised, but I'm...
no, I'm relieved it was as good as its reputation.
Yeah,
suggested.
it very much lives up to that hype.